I'd like to call the meeting to order and start with a roll call.
Taylor is absent with notice. Long. Here. Powell. Cavell.
Here.
Smith Charles. Spiz.
Present.
Woodward.
Here.
Markham.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right. Next up, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise if you can.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have approval of the previous minutes moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Long. Any comments, questions? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Minutes are approved. Next, we have approval of today's agenda. Need a motion, Mr. Spiz, Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Woodward. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I just want to make note, we moved the CLEMIS discussion, CLEMIS presentation up. So please make sure you refresh your screens if you haven't done it in the last 5 minutes. Okay, next we have our first public comment, which is for anything on today's agenda. If there's anyone who wishes to address this board, please come to the front of the room and you get 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I will close our first public comment. We'll have a second one at the end of the meeting if somebody decides they want to come talk to us. And someone from the public. Okay, next we have item 7, communications. Item 7A, the investment report, second quarter fiscal year 2025. These are for receive and file.
I move to receive and file.
Moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Cavell. Let's prompt the vote. Is there any discussion on that? Let's prompt the vote on the investment report.
There's 5 yeas, 0 nays.
What'd you say?
I got lectured earlier, I can't ask questions.
Okay. Motion carries.
Somebody picked on.
Item 7B, delinquent tax revolving fund report, second quarter fiscal year 2025. Moved by Commissioner Spiz, it's on a roll, and supported by Commissioner Cavell. Any discussion on this topic? Do we have any questions for the finance folk, or the treasurer's folks that are here?
Not so much a question, just something to note. We have $221 million in our DTRF, which is 21 million over our fiscal policy cap of making sure it's funded at 200 million. So I think that will come up later when we talk about finance stuff.
So it's good back.
Do you have any comments to make on that? Okay. All right, if there's no other discussion on this item, let's prompt the vote.
Did you get that? You have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, motion carries. Excellent. Now we move on to item 8A, under presentations, the CLEMIS interlocal agreement update. Moved by Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Spiz. We had to mix it up a little.
Yeah. You made too many motions already for today.
And my limit.
We have a long agenda.
So, yeah, my wife tells me I
Again,
only get so many words a day sometimes. You hit your word limit for the day.
Well, I just like, what?
It's funny. Okay. Let's see.
I think we got a presentation, is it loaded up?
Yep, it's coming up.
All right, so let me just kind of set the table here a little bit. We were in front of you, I believe, in April in regards to the CLEMIS situation. So in regards to where we're currently at and where we would like to go in regards to an authority. I just wanted to kind of update everybody. That was at the tail end of an agenda, so I think we had lost some people along the way. But we wanted to make sure that this was kind of an informative session. And so I want to make sure that we're getting out in front of this. We're about ready to pass the interlocal agreement that would help formulate this authority. So that is part of the attachment and the communication that we're forwarding as well. And then we would look to come back in front of you for some of the funding that we're requesting. So I'm gonna take you through the presentation, but before I do that, I just want to make sure that you know who's here. So to my far left is Chief of Police for White Lake, Chief Keller, Bo Chang, that is managing the CLEMIS for us currently. Myself, Deputy County Executive Sean Carlson. I've got Chief Gallagher from Bloomfield Township here, and then Captain Schneider from Oakland County. So we've been working with all these gentlemen as well as other local law enforcement in regards to this CLEMIS presentation and CLEMIS work that we've been doing. So just real quick, so this was a one-pager that we passed out last time as well. You can see the shaded on the bottom left, state of Michigan, the shaded blue is where CLEMIS is currently at. CLEMIS is an IT information data sharing in between sheriff law enforcement. Is really a force multiplier. I mean, when we come in front of you, last time I felt like when we came in front of you, this looked like an IT platform. It is an IT platform, but it is really about local law enforcement. It is really about the fire departments. And so I think it's important for them to be here today and express that as well, how important this is to their communities and to the county. You can see that CLEMIS was one of the first and largest public safety consortiums in the nation. It covers 33% of Michigan's population, and we've got 242 public safety agencies within CLEMIS. 131 law enforcement and police, 55 fire departments, and 48 courts are attached to it. You can see some of the other public entities that it's included as well in one page. Just as a reminder, CLEMIS is, I'll just say this is like Oakland County's CSI. Everybody knows what CSI is. There's multiple versions on TV, but this is really what it is. It's sharing this information so crime can be resolved and we can create safe communities. So you can see 911 call processing, dispatching for police. I've mentioned fire, jail management as well, and prosecutor and courts. Benefits of CLEMIS: increase the efficiency, saves officers valuable time by electronically preparing reports, more time on the streets preventing and solving crimes. Share valuable data across public safety agencies, which is a key element, and then members manage CLEMIS through applications. So that is kind of the 20,000-foot perspective. I'm gonna have Bo kind of take you through some of the finances, but the communities that have been supporting us, you can see the various communities, White Lake, Bloomfield. And the reason that they're here today, I think that's important as a note, is they are co-chairs of the CLEMIS community. So anybody who is a participant, any local community that's a participant is part of this CLEMIS board. And the chairs are Chief Keller and Chief Gallagher. And so they're critical to us. And as we move forward with the interlocal, what's required of a new authority is that we need to have at least one local community that signs on with the county. And so you have amongst your package is the interlocal agreement that has been adapted to create this authority. I'm going to turn it over to Bo.
So one of the things that we looked at with CLEMIS is what was the historical financials in terms of the operating revenue from participating fees. So law enforcement and public safety and fire, they basically pay CLEMIS, Oakland County, a participation fee to access the data, to access the system, et cetera. We also looked at the historical operating expense. And so you can see on a very high level, for the past 4 to 5 years, CLEMIS have been running a deficit between $4 to $6 million. Obviously, that's been subsidized by the general fund. When we start to kind of take these assumptions and we extract them out into projections of the future, it will continue to run a deficit. So when we start looking at that for the next 5 years, we see roughly about $30 million of deficit if we don't do anything to modernize CLEMIS to make it into an authority. So with that, we also looked at, okay, what is the model once we build a new authority? Because the number one thing we have to make sure is this has to be sustainable. for an organization and an entity that's been supporting law enforcement since 1968. We had to also make sure that's going to support us, for the next 50 to 100 years. So with this model, by becoming an independent authority, we believe we have a more sustainable model. And with that, we actually project a surplus on a growth side. So one of the questions we always get is, how is it that we can be sustainable as an authority? The one big thing that we see is obviously modernization of the platform. Going to cloud is going to enable us to really scale and expand beyond just Southeast Michigan. But also too, it allows us to really expand beyond the state of Michigan into other areas. We obviously border Ohio. We have another country that borders Detroit. So with that, it gives us the ability to expand beyond just the current footprint. So the technology that we have really limits us in that process. So from a monetization perspective, by moving to the cloud, allows us to really get this more in the tail end into the process. So this is talking about our CapEx requirement. Take this over, Sean. Okay.
Yeah, just real quick, the CapEx here, we talked about this the last time when we were in front of you as well, is a $20 million investment. But what we are going to be asking as part of this is not only approval of the interlocal agreement when we bring this back to you, but we're going to be asking for an initial investment of $10 million. It is our intention, as the new authority is set up, to go and seek the other $10 million from the state as well as the federal government. And that's our intention to balance this $20 million in order to modernize the system. And this is the future of CLEMIS. We're looking to modernize the infrastructure and the applications for the next generation of public safety. We want to transition to a authority. So this has outgrown its existence of where it's at. We have a operating deficit, a structural deficit in the system. We believe this is the way to correct this. Not only that, but to light up CLEMIS even more from where it's at and help communities even more. The outcome and benefits: safer communities through faster and more intelligent decision making, lower ongoing CLEMIS operational costs, and becoming self-sustaining in public safety access. So this is what we're looking to do. I used the words last time, subsidization. And what I want to say on that is this program is upside down. You saw the earlier charts. This is a way for us to correct it and make sure that other communities that are using it outside of the county are paying their fair share as well. Whether they're in Bad Axe, Michigan, or whether they're in Dearborn, those are communities that are currently part of the CLEMIS structure. We want to make sure that we are providing a good IT infrastructure and platform, but also the one that can be sustained. So what I'm going to do right now is just turn it over to Chief Gallagher, Chief Keller, just to add any other comments that they might have, and also Captain Schneider, who's with us as well. Chief Gallagher, anything else to add?
Yeah, I think one thing that's very hard for us to put into words in this room and for the private sector is understanding what the impact CLEMIS or the computer system has on law enforcement. And I really can't put it into words other than saying, for some of you in the room who understand technology, it's like putting you in an office, because our patrol cars are our office, and giving you no software on the computer. It's truly that. The information that we gather with CLEMIS is so critical to the operations and effectiveness of the services we provide the communities. If we use a critical incident, the easiest critical incident to use most recent is the Rochester Hills splash pad shooting. That information, Oakland County Sheriff's Department had officers or deputies, partnered with Shelby Township Police, who's a CLEMIS member, within minutes of that shooting happening, and they were at the responsible's house, at the shooter's house within minutes, which really, from a law enforcement perspective, would have taken hours and hours had we not shared this. Another aspect of that is a lot of people don't realize how lucky they are to live in Oakland County with the resources and the partnerships that we have together with our law enforcement and our fire communities. That is unique across this country. that was built upon, with the sheriff's department being the single largest agency in the county, but the other 42 agencies that exist here, the partnerships that we have are truly unique. There's no other computer system in the country that does what CLEMIS does. There's two large, and I don't want to name names, but there's two large agencies in LA that do not share data. And that data is critical in solving crimes. So I think those are just some important aspects to take. And CLEMIS has been around since 1968-ish. And it's been operating on that balance. If we were to go to the technology companies that are out there today, we would be cutting police officers in our agencies to be able to afford those programs. There's no doubt about that. These would not be cost-effective things. And what's unique is this computer system serves every area of Oakland County. Every agency in Oakland County is on this, and obviously extending to other bordering jurisdictions. And we're getting, we just had another member, Clay Township, I think, we just did an expedited vote. Grand Blanc Township's the newer person. People want to come to CLEMIS. And now by modernizing it, it gives us the ability to kind of be that vendor, but also supply that data back to the law enforcement so we can safely protect our communities.
Thank you, Chief. Chief Keller, any?
Yeah, just a couple things. I can't stress enough how important the slide was that said that 34 out of the 50 safest communities are on CLEMIS. That's hugely important. It shows to the efficacy of what CLEMIS is and what CLEMIS does and what it can do for the police departments that use it. White Lake can touch Lapeer County, Bad X, in a matter of seconds by just clicking in a couple words, and now we have contact. And like Chief Geller said, it would take hours for that to happen. If we don't have that access, it's gonna affect our ability to solve crime and to keep our cities safe. And that's our goal as police chiefs, as police officers and sheriffs, to do that. It's our job to make sure that the citizens, whoever CLEMIS provides service for, is to make sure that they are as safe as can be. Now, I go across the country, do training. I'm lucky enough to go to training across the country, and I always bring up CLEMIS because I always know that it is the best system in the United States by far. There's no one close, and they all wish that they had a CLEMIS where they were. That's how important the system is. It can't be expressed enough that we will not be as safe and we will not be as effective and efficient police department without CLEMIS. And we would love your support and just to move it to the authority to make it even more effective and efficient and move forward and make it bigger. So one day we could touch Nashville, Tennessee in a click of a button. That's where I think this can go. And it's super important that we have your support to make sure that this continues to be an effective and efficient program. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Captain Snyder, anything to add?
Real quickly, I'm in my 30th year, involved with CLEMIS for a long time. And I can tell you that I have a lot of contact with my counterparts around the country. So you're talking LAPD, LA Sheriffs, Riverside County, California, NYPD, Chicago, et cetera. And it really is true. Nobody has anything like CLEMIS. They all wish they did. And these are places that you would think naturally, especially LA, California Highway Patrol, et cetera, they're a mess. People can't get copies of police reports. It's just a disaster. So we are so ahead of the curve, but some of our technology has become antiquated. And of course, with Bo and his team, it's gonna be a game changer. We'll be more agile. We'll be able to leverage all of the new technologies out there, cloud-based, using your mobile devices, which is where the future's going. Everything's going to mobile. So it's really exciting, and I think that this is gonna really work out great for everybody involved.
So we don't have a resolution in front of you. We'll be coming back with that, but we wanted to get in front of this committee twice. But you do have the interlocal agreement, and that interlocal agreement will be making its way through Bloomfield Township and White Lake. And once we have those signatures, we'll be bringing it back to this group. And if it is approved by the Board of Commissioners, then that will start the process of the authority being put in place. We do have CLEMIS authority FAQs that will pass around some questions, but thank you, Madam Chair, for the time today. Happy to entertain any questions.
My things. Okay, I will open it up to the commissioners.
You have names.
Oh, I know, I'm having trouble with my screen, so.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, thank you.
I'm there, along with Charlie.
Okay,
first one.
Commissioner Smith-Charles, since they tell me you're first, please go ahead.
Thank you.
I'm technology challenged today, I guess, I'm not sure why.
She's actually a queen of technology. So if I remember correctly, and I see Rod is here, you know, Rod's my guy. If I remember correctly, Bo, I think you were at the IT tour that we had
Yes,
last year.
correct.
That's not
Yes, correct.
I'm curious, does CLEMIS use any type of artificial intelligence to do its job?
Not today.
Not today.
That is something that we are exploring, but not today.
Great to hear. And then without exposing, you know, weaknesses and threats, however, I am a SWAT person in the sense of, I forgot I was talking to law enforcement. Let me clarify that. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, SWAT. I'm just curious, have you, you know, when it comes to CLEMIS, are there threats or weaknesses that you could use some more support with that would make it more robust, or is it kind of at a good standing place?
Yeah, so it's a fairly old technology. It hasn't been really updated for probably, I think, 15 to 17 years. Literally the screens that you see today look like they were 15 years ago. And if you look at our footprint, we have about 25 applications. So they're kind of in different cycles of upgrades, but we haven't really done what I call a true monetization of what officers, you know, are hoping to get when they become an officer. Like Captain Schneider mentioned, the mobile platform, the tablets like you're using right now. So we need to modernize that infrastructure for speed. Obviously enables us to, you know, bring more data, bring more analytics, and also to help the chiefs get more information out to their communities too.
Okay, and just as a last piece of my question, is FirstNet something that, are we utilizing FirstNet, or does CLEMIS have its own network, or are we utilizing?
Yeah, so today we have our own network through Oakland County, and that's because of the dispatch solution. So FirstNet is largely telecommunications for, you know, dedicated phone lines for data. So different departments use that throughout the nation. So we have our own dedicated data network because all the data and the applications are housed in Rod's backyard. And so because of that, it's also creating some inefficiencies for us because we have to have the hardware to support this network. By us moving to the cloud, we're able to actually reduce that operational cost and also reduce the operational burden for the county because today Rod's team has to support all of the CLEMIS members who are dedicated on the network.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Next up, I have Commissioner Cavell.
Thank you. So I think just to frame it out, I don't think anyone's talking about not having CLEMIS, right? Like we're both talking about like if we didn't have CLEMIS, it would take hours. No one's saying that, I think we're just talking about where the money comes from and who's employed to work on it, just to make sure we're framing, it's not like CLEMIS or death.
Yeah, it's not, but it's dying a slow death without an investment, I guess is what the point would be.
My two questions then are about the needing investment. Why use county taxpayer money, 10 million at least, and then state, federal, or bond or borrow to get to the total of 19.6 or 20 million overall? Why put that investment into a private authority instead of a public asset, which it has been since 1968?
Well, this is an authority, so it's a public authority. This wouldn't be a
With less
private
transparency
authority.
though, that's what I'm.
Well, no, there's, if you look at the FAQs there is a question about, you know, does the authority remain a public entity? The answer is yes. The CLEMIS Authority is a publicly governed entity created under Michigan law, remains fully subject to FOIA, Open Meetings Act, and the annual independent audits and financial reporting. So all of those requirements still exist in place. The reality of it is, though, is in order, you saw the slides that Bo went over. If we don't do anything and we just do these adjustments and try to upgrade the applications as is just to kind of keep it functional, we're headed to, in 5 years, having a cumulative deficit of $30 million. So I don't anticipate the board not approving, the budgets that are going forward. So what we're trying to do is stem the tide and say, we need a new structure here. And I've said this before, is government isn't intended to be into the IT software development. But that's what we became over the last 20 or 30 years. And as we came along and as the market matured, was an opportunity to work with the market and look at different solutions. So that's what we're looking to do with the authority. We did not think, and we explored this as an option, is do we take CLEMIS and do we look at Tyler Technologies or Motorola or somebody else to purchase this and take this over? But we worked with our local communities and the sheriff's office and the local chiefs of police, and it was a resounding, don't do that. We need to have the feedback, and this system works for us. We have something, as you heard from the chief of police and Captain Schneider, is we have something that other corners of the US do not have. So we didn't want to mess with it, but we need to change the formula. This formula is not working for Oakland County. And this is a method to make it independent from Oakland County and get to operating surpluses versus a cumulative deficit of $30 million over 5 years.
And the assumption is by spinning it off into a public authority, so it still has all the same public transparency rules you're saying, it will somehow be able to transition from government department to public authority, will make it not be net negative 30 million in 5 years, but positive. So it'll be like a 50 million swing in 5 years because of this.
Now we need the CapEx to modernize, but we have other local entities that are interested in joining if we can modernize the application. And Bo, I don't know if you want to speak to that, or Captain Snyder's spoke to it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, actually, Captain Snyder was at a recent conference talking to agencies from Indiana, from Ohio, and they want to join the data sharing network. Right now, because we are in this dedicated network with the IT, we really can't expand beyond the physical limitations. So we have to move to cloud for us to actually offer these solutions beyond just kind of our current physical limitations. Even Traverse City, they were wanting to jump basically on our platform. We couldn't do that because it didn't make a lot of sense to have somebody from Rod's team drive 3 hours back and forth just to support them because of the dedicated network. So because of that, we have to drive a lot of the operational inefficiencies out by going to the cloud, which obviously ultimately reduces the technical burden for the county as well.
So 2 things to that. So you're talking about where we are now, the financial limitations. So we could just put $20 million in state, federal, and county money into a county department that has been a county department since 1968 and do that, it sounds like. And also, don't we have like 500 departments that we already work with? So and those are across the country. So this like narrative you're saying of Rod not driving up to Traverse City, that, somehow you get, I guess, Rod to drive to Grand Blanc and Highland Park. I don't see how that, like the spinning it off makes it more productive in and of itself, other than, just to move on. The second question I have is county employees. So part of your documentation says this spin-off, and I think this is where you're making the money or turning it into a profitable venture. All the people that work on CLEMIS are still county-funded people with 35% salary benefits, but they're not CLEMIS authority. So this feels like kind of, right?
The savings are.
They're gonna stay county employees, so the spinoff feels kind of like we keep the employees, which is the cost center, and then you get to sell the technology, which is the revenue driver. So that's how you make it look profitable, but it's still all the same basket of costs.
I'm not sure, I appreciate the question. I'm not sure how you're getting to that conclusion,
Okay.
but that's not the case. The employees that are assigned, so we went through an assignment about 6 months ago, 3 months ago, where we have Oakland County IT employees that stayed with Rod in the IT department. And we designated, I think there were 11, is that correct? 13 county employees that are assigned to CLEMIS that are specifically working on CLEMIS. So we separated Oakland County IT's, sheriff's applications that are outside of CLEMIS. Those folks have stayed with the IT department. These are gonna be assigned to the authority. They will remain county employees. They will have all the rights, privileges, and benefits as a county employee, whether that has to do with their salaries, their benefits, or rights as an employee, that they will be entitled to. So no one is losing a job in this. No one's salary is being cut. So what you see in regards to the surplus does not have to do with labor. It has to do with modernization, adding more participants onto the system, upgrading, and also restructuring, how the financing is done.
Yeah, that's correct. So the cost is actually paid for by the new authority. So the authority will actually pay the county back for the county employees that are assigned over to the authority. So it is not the county's gonna maintain that cost and the authority is gonna do whatever it's gonna do to make a profit. So legally, we can't make a profit because we are a public entity, that's part of the state law in that process. So, but no, that cost will be paid for by the authority. And how we generate the funds to sustain ourselves is basically all of the participation fees that Bloomfield Township, the Whiteley Township, other agencies pay to access the system, to access the data. Like I said, we have about 25 different applications. To your question earlier about the investment, what also allows us to expand is really the governance structure. By having an authority, it enables Whiteley Township and Bloomfield Township to actually be a board member of the authority. So we believe by having that type of structure does not limit us to just Michigan or Oakland County. It really allows us to invite, Michigan City or Nashville or another agency from outside of Michigan to be a fiduciary and a part of the governance structure. So the governance structure also allows us to expand as well.
So to what you said about the money, so it's $20 million to do the modernization, right, which totally get invest in cloud, that sort of thing. But then also you said, if you will, kind of buy out the county employees, the 13 employees that you're switching over?
We're not buying out
Or
anybody.
You're not.
not buy out like they would lose their job, but you're like, they then become, you
They're gonna
said
be
something about.
assigned, they'll be assigned to the authority.
They'll be
They'll
working.
still be county employees.
They'll still be county
Correct.
employees. No one's losing his job.
Right, no one's losing their job, they'll still be county employees, but you said something about paying the county for those employees' salaries. I don't know if I heard
Yeah, the
you right.
authority, the money that's generated through the different fee structure will have to pay the salaries, which would be the 13 county employees and any other authority employees. And any other costs that we have.
Yeah,
So
correct.
this is trying to get us on a self-funded model and away from this deficit structure.
Which would happen by further subsidizing a spun-off public authority by putting $20 million of county, state, and federal money into something. That's how you stop subsidizing it, by subsidizing it further, at least for the short term, to invest in modernization.
We're investing in the modernization, we're not investing in the subsidization.
I'm still confused on why we can't just do that with a county department. If they're gonna stay county employees and we can buy cloud services through county programming, I don't get why this spin-off is necessary, other than letting, for example, another police chief be able to.
The authority has gone beyond the borders of the county.
Sure.
It's important for it to mature. We've done everything, just as a parent might try to prepare their child for the world, okay, we've done everything we can at the county level. It's now time to create an authority and let them go out and self-sustain. That's where we're at. We're picking up other counties that border Oakland County because this software is instrumental in solving crimes. They see the benefit of it and they're joining. But we believe by not being Oakland County, but an authority different than Oakland County, we believe the membership will even grow even more. And that is a strong sentiment by each one of the law enforcement that consistently have said that in this process.
Will you be increasing the cost? 'Cause I know when you did presentations earlier, police departments had said they can't absorb an increase of more than 5% a year.
Commissioner, I want this to be your last question
Yeah, sure,
because
that's
we have
fine.
an agenda that's gonna last
Okay.
till 4 this
got you.
afternoon if we keep
Okay.
going, okay? And I want
Yeah.
everybody to be able to get their questions in, but
Okay,
this
sorry.
is your last one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll be looking at CPI. There'll be natural charges, but there's not gonna be double digits. And that's one of the reasons why it's important to go to the authority as well. We don't wanna have that kind of impact on our Oakland County communities or other communities that are currently using the system. They can't absorb that.
Okay.
Thank you. Next up, we have Commissioner Long.
So mine's quick, thank you. And it somewhat answers, but I'm just wondering, the 10 million initial investment from the county, is that all we foresee? Or do you foresee us having to put more funding into this?
So it's a great question. It's kind of an interesting question because even if we weren't asking for this, we'd be asking for it in the budget process. That's how upside down we are.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're asking for the $10 million to move to this authority. We're gonna use that money to do a project to modernize the application. And then it's our intention to try to get state and federal funding for the other $10 million.
So maybe not come back, I mean, but you don't.
Hopefully not come back.
Hopefully, but
That-
there is a possibility you
There
might
is a
have.
possibility.
I
So
just wanted to
appreciate the
know that,
question.
so I were, when we're going,
There is
that
a-
everyone knows that, so that's, okay.
But I know your CFO is hard to negotiate, so he's probably gonna look for some good terms.
I use the word divorce and child support in this example here. So sometimes it resonates with some people.
Okay.
And it's a joke, but it's actually like, yeah, I understand. And they're gonna have to
Well,
ask. for
something
the
could come
10
up, that's what I'm saying, I just wanted to point out, and that comes, the 10 million's coming from general fund, right? General fund,
From the strategic investment fund,
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in. In general, I'm supporting this concept. And I'm gonna follow with a little bit what Commissioner Cavell said. So when you guys come in to ask for the $10 million, things, we get a little bit more of a business case, a little more details behind the finance behind, I think would be interesting to everybody to help us approve the $10 million.
Okay, great.
Cause I
We have it, and
understand.
we'll bring it.
Good, and I understand and support your logic, instead of spending $30 million over the next 5 years, let's spend 10 now and move on and put it in authority. Let it grow, let it be free, and hopefully it'll grow into a much larger authority that will support a lot of different agencies around, not only the state of Michigan, but around the country. And one of the comments, and I'm not sure everybody understands this, but because some of us, and in the community, I think, just believe everybody has a CLEMIS. I think general population believes everybody has a CLEMIS. And everybody talks to each other. And to me, that's an eye opener for me and others that is not true, right? So without CLEMIS, like if you go on the west side of the state, Grand Rapids doesn't have this. They're using some other system which may not talk to their neighboring counties. I mean, made a comment about LA County. I mean, they're not even talking to their neighboring county. I'm sure there's much more around the country that do that. So to me, I'm glad I live in Oakland County because we have this. If I lived outside of the region of CLEMIS right now, I'd be questioning on what we do and how we operate because we don't have this system.
One of the other companies out there that they use is for the software portion of a company called Tyler Technologies. If you're on Tyler Technologies in Sterling Heights and Bloomfield Township has Tyler Technologies, we're not sharing data.
Right.
And that's something, right.
You gotta pay that connection.
They won't, they just won't.
It's just
And
like
so
software, right? Software, you gotta pay.
I can't stress the uniqueness you have living in Oakland County and the partnerships we have here. So,
That's why I think this is overly important, is to, one, let's take this to the next level. Let's get out of the 20th century and let's get into 21st century of technology perspective. Because as everybody knows, technology's grown over the last 15 to 20 years, exponentially. So, and we've fallen behind because of CLEMIS, because we haven't truly invested in it. So now let's kind of do everything at the same time. Let's invest in it. Let's get it out there and let others start to take advantage of it. And instead of having the county oversee it, let's let the authority oversee it and let it grow on its own.
What I think it's important is, we were trying to be fiscally responsible the last couple of years. We weren't trying to sell CLEMIS. CLEMIS sells by itself. I mean, we're not out there. We pulled back the sales team and said, don't sell, because we were upside down. Adding other entities outside of the county onto CLEMIS would dig the hole deeper and deeper for the county. But we still added some folks that wanted to come by that were close jurisdictions, like we just heard about in regards to Grand Blanc. But there are other communities that once we move to the authority and we get the operational, the structural deficit taken care of and set up correctly, we will be selling this too.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the commission?
If I just, is that okay? A quick one, I guess.
One.
Okay. So I was confused because you said everyone's gonna, or there will be county employees and they won't be transferred to the authority. Help me understand page 12 of your interlocal agreement, 6.2A and B. It says Schedule 6, there is a county employee on September 30th. They will then be transferred to the authority. The employees transferred under this section will each be an employee of the authority and not employees of the county.
Yeah, so there's two with that. So there will be, probably at least one employee from the county who says, hey, I want to be an employee of the authority. So they have the opportunity to do so. And also for employees who want to remain Oakland County employees, we'll also have the option to remain Oakland County employees, and basically we will assign them to the process. So it's really two paths that an Oakland County employee has the opportunity to take.
Why would I imagine one person, meaning like the new director of this authority, how do we make sure we're understanding their compensation if we're going to put county money behind this and taxpayer money?
I think we have time to flesh this out before you come back to us.
Okay, too much, okay.
That's why I asked my question. Bring all that stuff.
Fair enough.
Bring it all back and
Yeah, like,
write out your questions. And actually, the more we submit to these groups before the meeting, the better. So that they can come having answered the questions that we have prepared. So you have good valid questions, but there's a lot of people in the room and,
understood.
talk directly with these
For the
folks.
10 million.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Business case, yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, questions?
Real quick, about the receive and file, like just the functionality of it.
Okay, we're just gonna receive and file this.
But doing that also allows them to do an interlocal agreement to start the process of spinning CLEMIS off. That's,
No,
he said, it needs to have an authority, needs one interlocal
no, I think he's
agreement.
coming back.
This is the interlocal agreement.
I think he's showing us the interlocal agreement, but I'm
If
not
we-
of the understanding
this is-
that it's,
To receive and
It
file the
references
presentation.
We are not creating the authority.
right.
That's like, they are giving more information
Right.
of things that are, I think of it as draft. This is not a motion to create the authority.
Right,
To
it's
receive and file this information, like they've come before, to give information so that we have that information to make the decision when an authority is. The authority would be at least one community and the county forming the
Yes.
authority to start it off.
That would be in separate.
But that's,
That's down the road.
if we receive and file that, then that allows them to use this piece of
No, it
paper?
doesn't.
It doesn't?
No.
Okay,
We have to approve it.
I thought that's what he said.
But it would have to
No,
go to
he
the full board.
didn't say that.
It'd have to go to the full board for approval, which it's not.
Sure, okay, alright.
Alright, what's next?
Receive and file.
Do.
Okay, so let's go ahead and prompt the vote.
Because it would have to say to the.
You have 78
To the authority.
Okay.
The resolution.
Yeah.
All right, that was it for presentations. Next up, we have section 9, departmental recommendations. 9A is fiscal year 2025 second quarter forecast. I'll take a motion. Commissioner Powell, supported by Commissioner Woodward. Welcome back, Cheryl.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Cheryl Johnson, the Deputy CFO. I will make this quick. This is our standard second quarter financial report. If you go to probably the area that we like to look at is the summary page, which is page 20 of the document, or page 51 of the PDF. And we'll walk through that really quick. It's still the same format that you've been seeing. It gives the budgeted, the original adopted budget, the amended budget, and then the forecast based on what our analysts believe the forecast and the departments are gonna be. So if you look down towards the bottom, you will see that we are, the third column over the forecast, we're forecasting 598 million in revenues, including 11 million from planned use of fund balance. And then towards the bottom, you'll see the total governmental expenditures, we're forecasting 576 million. That leaves us a surplus of 22 million. Once we, you guys still with me?
Yeah,
we're
sorry,
definitely
we're
with you.
What page are you on? Okay, I'm on, it's on page, the page number is 20, but it's page 51 of the PDF.
Okay. Thank you.
And then so you'll see that our planned use was a surplus of $11 million. We're gonna increase the fund balance by 12 million if this was the end of the fiscal year. But the couple things I wanna point out is it's second quarter, so it goes through March. So we have a lot of summer stuff coming up, there's gonna be a lot of overtime, there's a lot of parks activity, or not parks activity, there's a lot of sheriff activity where there's gonna be additional expenses because they do festivals and things like that. So this is just a snapshot from kind of the cold months of the year, and we'll continue to bring you the quarterlies. They will start looking different, but this is my first week back, and so you get the same old, same old. And I will take any questions.
I have Commissioner Spiz.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Come in. And not really a question, it's more of a comment, and it's the same kind of you heard me make before. This is a Q2, right?
Yes.
This takes us through March, right?
Yes,
So,
it's June 2nd, June 3rd, whatever it is.
so trying to push things ahead to get things faster.
Yes.
Because when we do budget meetings coming up, I'd like to have, I know this data is accurate, but more recent data is probably better.
I completely agree.
Because right now, this
and-
is 3 months old, it's like,
I completely agree. My team has been working on moving up the processes for closing the books.
Yeah.
Cause that had been taking us, we talked about almost 30 days. So we've pushed that to about 14 days. And so we're in the process of kind of shifting the whole thing. And as I said, I've been out for 5 weeks. So they've been doing an amazing job keeping up for the stuff that I'm not able to do and putting the budget things together. So it's definitely, and that's why I said it's the same old, but it's not gonna be. I acknowledge your comment and I feel exactly the same way. We are working on the timing, we're working on the format, and you will see changes to come.
thank you, I do appreciate it. I had just one question, it's a general question. Looking through all the forecasts, if you look at the operating line items,
Yes.
page, that's where, at least from what I saw reviewing all of them, that's where I see the biggest variation on percentages used or not used
Yes.
for all departments.
Yes.
What's driving that?
Well, some of that is cyclical, so the basic way that gets forecasted is, divided by 12 times 6. So we also have shuffled our budget folks around.
Yeah.
So I've got people in new departments, we lost a couple people, so we've got people looking at stuff and getting familiar with the departments. What we are trying to do is make that a more succinct budget so that it more aligns with what's in and what's been requested at the adoption portion of the budget. And then what you'll see in the amended should be mostly, obviously it's the things that have been brought to you guys, but we're really hoping to tighten some of that stuff up and make sure that if you're using supplies and you're using 10,000 in supplies, that's what you're budgeting. You're not budgeting 20, you're not budgeting 10 and then moving it around later. We're trying to really have people understand the importance of where it goes and how it works.
And I appreciate that. I also request that if, instead of dividing the line item by 12, if you know you're gonna spend $20 million, instead of divided by 12, if you're gonna hit it just in the summer months, let's change on how that budget is.
The bulk of it is 12. There are some things that, like the revenue piece, we look at, where we're at, because some of those things, like marijuana money comes once a year, comes in April, so we know some of those things are cyclical. But just trying to get the team up to speed with how their departments and how their departments have cyclical requests is what we're working on.
Alright, and just so everybody didn't follow what I was explaining, if you look at the circuit court under operation, we have a 40% to the good, I guess, and district court across the hallway has a minus 20% to the bad in operation costs. So it's like, I mean, that's, I know they're different courts, but it's court's court.
Well, and I can tell you that, you know, when,
If you ask them, they wouldn't say that.
I agree, so I'm glad they're not here, 'cause I'd be in trouble.
well, when.
Well, actually, one is.
I'm in trouble now, but
You're gonna learn what a felony is today.
I wanna drive a different way home today, but it's just kind of.
And last year, to your point, last year, the district courts got a new budget analyst, and they were very specific about tightening up that budget. So it's expected that we would see those reductions because of some of the cuts that have been coming through the feds. So that particular department has been tightened up, and that's why you're gonna see those differences. We haven't been able to do that with all the departments, circuit court, you know, there's other departments that we're moving around, can't think of the word.
I can, so Brent Strom, Chief of Budgets, one thing I can say, cause I was the one who did district court last year. So we really focused on cleaning up and making sure that that budget really reflected their activities.
Good.
During budget development this year, Chris and I have been working very hard on doing the same thing on both circuit court and probate court. So these are very large budgets that if we start removing a ton of money or moving stuff around, things could break and then we could be in a bad situation. So we've been working really in partnership with these areas to make sure what truly are you spending? Make sure that the budget reflects the reality. So you're gonna start seeing that happen. That's one of the reasons why in the budget book we included those 3 years of actuals. You're gonna see that going forward to really show that real justification of their budget.
And I think that we're teaching the analysts to analyze differently so that they're more familiar with their departments and understanding that, you know, a sheriff's budget is a different cycle than a circuit court budget.
Thank you.
Any, Commissioner Cavell?
Yeah, a couple questions real quick. Our strategic fund, right, our one-time 5%, that's according to our fund policy
Yeah,
is.
that's not reflected in here.
Right, but just roughly how big is 5% of our general fund?
Charlie, I've been off for
All
5
right,
weeks.
you've been
I
off.
don't have any,
Okay.
I don't even know what month it is, dude.
Okay, I got you,
I can
okay.
get you the answer,
No,
but I
okay.
don't.
I'm
It's in
back
the financial
envelope.
statement.
Yeah,
It's in the notes of the financial statement under the fund balance. It's
Sure.
got all that stuff laid out.
I got you, okay. So, okay, no worries.
Sorry, I
But-
apologize.
No,
I'm
it's
just
okay.
back in the saddle, dude.
I got you, no worries.
Day 3.
Shout out to you, thanks for texting, so helping me answer questions, so thank you.
No problem.
You were just getting back yesterday, appreciate you. Question about, is there a place in here where I'd be able to see the Pontiac project line item? And if so, what line item would that be?
That's Q2.
This is, it hasn't come out yet. Like this is basically the general fund, general purpose portion.
Plus it's only Q2.
No, I mean, just, we put 63 million in from state and federal, you know, whatever. And so just, I know this is just up to March, but if there's, so this doesn't have that, because it's just the
No.
general fund, okay.
No.
Excuse me, Mr. Cavell, I think the
Oh, sorry.
issue is as we mentioned before in the Pontiac project at the last thing, there will be monthly reporting to both ED&I and this finance committee going forward once those resolutions. So we'll make sure that you get what you need on a timely basis.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. And
Thanks,
then
boss.
the 2 more. The 11 million in fund balance, the hope is, that's kind of what you were saying to what commissioners is,
It's just, it's a.
it'll even out to be
Yeah, it's
ideally 0 at the end of the year. Or we're gonna still dip into fund balance and then replace that.
I'm 6 months out, I'm not sure I can say that, you know, because we've got taxes to look at, we've got a lot of stuff that we estimated last June that we haven't, you know, I haven't had a chance to go through and look at them and update like on some of the revenue stuff. And it kind of depends on, you know, what happens and what decisions this board makes in terms of some of the federal cuts and things like that are going on. I think we're all in kind of a new era of unexpectedness. And so it's difficult for me to say 6 months out where we're gonna be in 6 months. But this is just a forecast as of the end of
Sure.
March.
So forecast saying,
Yep, if we stayed on this trend, this is where we would be.
okay, so maybe we'll use fund balance, but that's not.
But it would be it's planned use of
Okay.
fund balance.
Okay. And then last question was, how are we doing with sheriff's overtime?
I think that we're doing okay. I personally did an analysis of where we were at last year, this year, because of the cyclical nature of the personnel with the sheriff's office. And I think that the numbers in there are pretty close to accurate.
It looks like though, from my understanding, we will be over budget though.
Well, it's hard to say. As I said, we're running into, it was my best guess based on numbers from '23 and numbers from '24. We did a major change to the sheriff contracts. There are some communities who are still tweaking their contracts and seeing what they wanna do, so that's gonna change. If we have 3 communities reduce 3 officers, then that's gonna reduce some of the overtime that other officers were working. Cause we're not ever getting rid of officers, we're just using less overtime as those numbers go down. So it's hard to say what that's gonna look like. I know that in one of the next agendas, Brandon Township is changing some of their officer requests. They're taking a sheriff with a shared car out, so that's gonna reduce some of that overtime.
Okay.
But based on historical, I looked at '23 and I looked at '24 and I did some of my own analysis, that's kind of what it looks like.
Okay, but just to make sure I'm understanding your document right, that in March, so halfway through the year, we were at 3 million of a budget we had spent 3 million of a budget of 3.7 million for overtime. And with the corrections office division, we were already at 533 out of a budget of 426.
What page are you looking at, bud?
43 on the PDF, just, if we're over, understood, but just wanna make sure I'm understanding, how much if will be.
Until I see what you're looking at, my friend.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, I would like to move along quickly here, since we're.
No, how we're doing with the county's finances.
If I can briefly
It's
comment on
okay.
that, Charlie,
Yeah.
one thing you might be running into is focusing on the division versus the department as a whole. So where you might have some unfavorability within one particular division, you'll have favorability within another division that may offset
Yeah,
that.
this is the sheriff's department as a whole,
Sure.
so the entire.
Yeah, so as a whole, it's got if I'm reading it right, that's what I'm double checking, is 3.7 million budget, and as corrections, a 426K budget. I get you, but I think that's what I'm saying is, we'll be at, using same projection, 6 million in overtime spend with a budget of 3.7. Just wanna make sure that's somewhat accurate, that we're tracking that, we're thinking about that.
I can tell you it was accurate at 6 months. What I'm gonna do at 3 months?
Yeah.
Or at 9 months, is
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at the activity, because we've got, it depends on how many, outside contracts they do, the LES contracts that they come up that are one-off when they do festivals and things like that. That could very well, if they have more of those this year, that could very well increase the overtime budget from what we anticipated.
Okay. Fair
So
enough.
I can tell you this philosophy is solid because I looked at it,
Sure.
but what it's gonna look like in 3 months because of the Renaissance Festival and any other festivals that we utilize or anything that, some community decides to do and wants to utilize sheriff. We don't hire new people, we use what we have and they work overtime, so it could go up.
Okay. So
That's why we look at it quarterly.
better look at Q3
Yes,
actuals.
yes.
Understood.
Like I
Okay.
said, sorry for the scarce answer.
I got you. Alright, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I do wanna encourage people because there is a lot of detail in a lot of this material that we get, and it is posted, Fridays. And you got 4 or 5 days to get your questions answered one-on-one and maybe bring it to the table. But we really need to be mindful of everything that's gotta happen. We got 2 commissioners that gotta go to the Parks Commission. So I appreciate the questions, but let's everybody try, if you have a lot of questions about detailing what you're reading in the packet, please call the departments and ask them before the meeting. Thank you. Okay. Is everybody comfortable with this forecast? And we are receiving and filing, is that correct?
No, we are actually approving, it's a
Oh, we're
budget
approving
amendment. Sorry, recommending to board.
Recommending to the board, okay. Let's prompt the vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm glad I have helpers to keep my Robert's rules
You have
in my head.
0 nays.
Okay, motion carries, thank you. Next up, we have item 9B, LinkedIn Recruiter, Talent Insights, and LinkedIn Learning. Moved by Commissioner Smith-Charles, supported by Commissioner Powell.
Yeah, you're slow, Mike. Slow, Mike, you're slowing down. Have your admit it's supposed to be good for concentration, maybe I think it's even during test.
Please introduce yourselves.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Stephanie Howe, Marketing Communications Officer in HR, and I'm here with my partner. I'm Caitlin Keeler, Marketing Communications Officer with the Department of Public Communications, and we're here together representing internal and external communications to request the budget amendment to transfer funds to the IT fund, who we have a partner here.
So Kimberly Arango, Director of Application and Client Services in IT.
And we're looking to purchase an enterprise-wide suite of LinkedIn products. So today we're requesting the funding shift for a strategic investment to not only strengthen our workforce and our employees, but also their family members, our community members. And the way that we would do this is to modernize how we recruit, plan, and develop all of our talent, those coming in, those who've been here for a long time, and those who are out in the community hoping to come work for us, you know, maybe one day as an intern or, you know, hopefully later on down the road as a manager or director. So we're proposing a 3-year enterprise level contract with LinkedIn for just over $630,000. This agreement would provide unlimited access to 3 key tools, which is LinkedIn Recruiter, Talent Insights, and LinkedIn Learning. And Caitlin and I will go over what each of those would entail and how we can hopefully offset some of the costs by removing other softwares that are no longer performing well for us. So if finalized by July 1st, the county would actually end up saving over $600,000 because LinkedIn has purposely packaged and given us great discounted deals to be able to do it before the start of their fiscal year. This would also consolidate everything that we're doing in HR and in other units like DPC under one program. So that means no more personal accounts or P cards. All the data that we get from LinkedIn would then sit with LinkedIn and stay within the county rather than going out to any personal recruitment operations that we've done. So all employees, including part-time and seasonal staff, will create and merge their current LinkedIn profiles through secure Okta access and give them a broad range of learning and development courses. But the impact isn't just with our employees. We're gonna be able to do community-based learning opportunities through our career coach, through LinkedIn, through our own HR and DPC staff. So things like Rock Your Profile, the power of learning. We can get residents interested in local government and coming to work for us by offering them services as well. So currently our email list includes 17,000 people in our community that want to come work for us. I opened our latest email at 52% open rate, and people are clicking at enormous rates, hundreds of people on our jobs. They want to come work here. They want to learn more about us. So this is just one of the small tools that LinkedIn offers. Small by their standards, large by ours. So as you heard, LinkedIn's more than just your online resume. It's a powerful platform for professional development and community impact. By entering into this partnership, LinkedIn becomes a true collaborator into the county's talent strategy and elevating our social media strategy. They'll support us in building a stronger culture of learning, internal mobility, and equitable access opportunities. I'm just gonna go quickly over the 4 different products that come with this suite. First, we'll get an upgrade to our existing homepage. So we'll have a centralized Oakland County landing page. It'll unify the different branded departments and elected officials. So we present one cohesive image to the job seekers and to the public. Also, when you come to our homepage, you're gonna get a unique tailored experience for you. So for example, if Stephanie visits the page, she's gonna see the marketing jobs. If Rod visits the page or Kim, you'll see IT jobs. And then to take it to another level, if you speak a language other than English, you're gonna see it in your native language as well. And we'll also get unique features that'll help paint a vibrant picture of our benefits and our company culture. So it's gonna capture their attention and keep their attention.
Another powerful tool is Talent Insights. This gives us access to real-time labor market data so we can make more inclusive hiring decisions. Our economic development team is also going to be using it so they can help better align which industries match up with our local talent and can use it in business attraction around the globe.
And I get to talk about the two favorite pieces that Sunil would love for me to make sure that I get in front of you, which is Recruiter and LinkedIn Learning. So as you know, we currently use Skillsoft. Skillsoft runs us about $90,000 a year. So removing that cost to be able to pay for a platform that gives us 3 software solutions rather than just the one is where we're gonna really look to save our money. But it replaces our currently kind of fragmented software platforms and brings it all into one, gives them new skills, certifications, and badges highlighting like our investment and growth for our employees. So our employees can publicly share, hey, guess what I'm doing at the county? Here are the 5 certifications I did just last week, or whatever it is that they want to learn more about that might be outside of like their current job scope. Future career planning with our new career coach. But LinkedIn Recruiter will allow our recruitment team to gain unlimited access to the largest pool of professional talent. So Indeed, yes, is huge, but is it a pool? Not so much. So being able to give hiring managers access to be able to see these pools and these people who come in wanting to work for us is gonna be huge. So the result is hopefully a more engaged employee base, stronger retention, and greater opportunities for our own internal advancement. Being able to see our internal job postings, external, what's going on around the county, all in one place. But this is especially huge for our hourly and entry-level staff who might be eager to grow in their positions and within their departments or otherwise.
So in summary, this investment will consolidate vendor spending, enhance our ability to hire and communicate quickly and cost effectively, support data-driven workforce and economic development planning, and deliver scalable, high-impact learning to every county employee.
So we're really hoping for is to modernize. We want to be the county, right? We want to be the place where everyone wants to come to because we want to lead by example. And we think that this is one way to do it both publicly and internally. So thank you for listening to us, and we are here for any and all questions.
Thank you. I'll open it up to the commission. Anybody have any questions? Anybody looking for?
Am I on there?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, he was like Jeopardy. He was first, he was Jeopardy.
At least I waited till you start talking this time.
Yeah,
Finance, I just.
yeah. That's when you know you're first if you start.
Yes, no, got me. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, ladies. I think this is great. I'm in full support. It's something that I use in the private sector all the time. So glad to see the county stepping into that arena. It's good to see. Now, one question I do have is relative to the learning. So when employees do take some level of training through
Yes.
LinkedIn, how is that gonna link to their Workday file so that it goes into their?
So Kim, if
Finish
I'm
training.
saying this right in
ahead.
IT speak, there's gonna be a direct link, not even just like an API, but they talk back and forth. So basically whatever they do in LinkedIn will be sent to their Workday learning profile and set up by our fantastic IT
So
team.
we bought the connector
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
Good,
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
Or will be.
Good, that's good thinking.
I don't see anybody else with questions, so let's go ahead and prompt the vote.
Oh, save.
There's 7 yeas, 0 nays. Motion carries. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have item 9C, sponsorship of the 2025 Hazel Park Art Fair.
Long, thank you for staying all day.
And here's, I need a motion.
Does he know somebody?
Could have told you you could.
Supported by Commissioner Ross, supported by Commissioner Powell.
I'll move it for Ann, she's been there so long.
We are.
The lynchpin.
And we have Alyssa Sullivan online who is with this project, so.
Yes, Alyssa Sullivan is a Hazel Park council member and is also president of the Hazel Park Arts Council, which is the entity that puts on this wonderful event. We did sponsor this event last year. I had the pleasure of attending. It was absolutely fabulous. It's a great event. I highly recommend that everybody attend. You'll have a wonderful time. We did get wonderful acknowledgement. We had a huge banner that acknowledged our sponsorship.
Huge is huge.
like
Huger than the
like
Lion Township.
definitely the width of this table.
Like baby.
And if, I don't know what the plan is for this year, but last year it was set up by the performing arts area. And when I attended, there was this amazing woman doing these acrobatic stuff. It was incredible, so really great. It's a great event. And if you have any questions about the event specifically, Alyssa's available to answer. She is unfortunately working at the moment, but we'll be happy to answer
And the
your
date
questions.
is August what? I saw it somewhere. Is it August, right? August? Maybe she can answer that. Just since you waited so long, we need to put out the date.
Are you on?
I think it's on here. I think it's August.
24th.
Okay.
Okay.
Just so people, anyone watching could hear too. August.
August 23rd to 24th.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Give it some advertising in case anyone watches us.
Everybody watches, we're talking about.
A
Sure.
solid 10 viewers.
Anybody have any questions, comments?
We got a solid.
It's an awesome event.
That's what I'm saying. They can
Okay,
go.
let's prompt the vote, please.
Oh, we can get 10 people to vote.
I want you to grovel more and more.
Be happy to.
Rise for the shortest
Yes.
presentation.
And who's not in the room? Just saying.
Okay,
I know.
Doing my part to
motion
last
carries.
week when we just vote
Thank you, Councilwoman Sullivan, for joining
Yeah,
us.
we put them all together.
Right.
The last finance, which was
So
good.
you're done here, except it was all different.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner.
Motion carries. You're good.
Staying this long and I'll see you at Parks in a little
Thank you, Ms.
bit.
Sullivan, for sitting through our meetings.
See you at Parks. See you at Parks.
Grab us some lunch.
Seriously, text me.
Okay.
All right, next up we have item 10A, adopting, am I right? Legislative Affairs and Government Operations. 10A is adopting updates to the 5-year benefits roadmap for 2026 to 2030.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by
I'll support it.
Commissioner Smith-Charles. Aye.
Hi, I'm Heather Van Hooker, I'm Deputy Director in Human Resources. I'm joined by Heather Mason, who manages our benefits and comp team. And we have Caitlin Marvin as well, who runs the day-to-day of our benefits group and really makes the magic happen. So I will move quickly, mindful of your time, but I welcome any questions, or if you see a spot you want a deeper dive, please let me know. I'm happy to talk.
There's a presentation?
Yes. I'm gonna get after it, and then you can click as we go. I'm gonna lay the groundwork by saying that the importance of the benefit strategy, we have one in place now that runs through 2026. So what we're gonna speak about is how we're gonna go forward from 2026 for the next 5 years. It's so important to have that benefit strategy in place, and I loved the way that the communications folks set the stage for how critical it is to recruit and retain the workforce of the future and make sure that our current folks feel great about being here. Because where the rubber meets the road, your employees bring to life the exceptional services here at Oakland County. So we want to make sure that we create a workforce that really feels that, embodies it, and can deliver on our values and our commitments here at Oakland County. So that's why it's so important to have this benefit strategy. It's a significant cost of the employment pie here at the county. And so I am at finance, so I will speak about the money side of things, but I wanted to set the stage that this is not an initiative to necessarily cut, skinny back, or save on benefits. It's an attempt to modernize and set that future vision for what the next 5 years will be looking like. But I also want to mention that we do need to be mindful of that cost because it is a significant piece of our pie. We're looking at over $70 million a year in annual costs on MedRx alone. When I say RX, that's prescription. Sorry if I ever do any, letters that don't make sense, call me out. We're looking at annually around 5 to 8% increases year over year. Our pressure is really coming from prescriptions at this point in the game. As well, we have really competitive $0 out-of-pocket plans within our existing structure, and our employee cost share is very, very low compared to market. And that's okay, we'd like to keep it there, but we do need to take a look at that. The bar chart provided with this presentation shows you the blue, which is our medical. And I'd like to point you to year 2022. That's when we first started a 5-year benefit strategy. And you'll see it helps to level off that blue component of our bar chart. That's the medical spend. The orange piece is the prescription piece, and that's where we're seeing a lot of pressure come to bear. And then I've given you a green cap at the top of that bar of where we would have expected to be had you done nothing in 2022. So that's been where we, your proaction, your proactivity in managing benefits has really set the stage for creating some fiscal sustainability going forward. But it's time to think about our next 5 years, because if we do not get our arms around some of these costs, especially around prescription, we are looking at some operating costs skyrocketing. That's going to hit how we frame our rates, how we do chargebacks with contracts to cities and villages that we serve. It's gonna make it harder for our departments to fill vacant positions because that cost per person is gonna keep going up. So that staffing cost gets hit, and then ultimately we have less to invest in our capital investments. So it really is important that we be mindful of our benefit spend, but also strategic about how we make those investments so that we're attracting and retaining excellent workforce. As we approached our benefit strategy, in preparation, our current plan was developed in consultation with the Total Rewards Task Force. That was a standing advisory group spanning all of our departments, unions, employees from across the county. They helped frame and create that original benefit strategy. In preparation for this update, we conducted an employee benefit survey. We had pretty solid response rates there, and we got really fantastic input and feedback. And Caitlin and her group were able to immediately put into effect some of those improvements already. Some of them you'll see contained within our suggestions for our go forward 5 years. But the ones we could get at right away, we did. Things like optional buy-up to your life insurance if you want to add a spouse or dependent. The pet insurance has been wildly popular. We also included an inclusive benefits component to this, engaging with an external consultant about what, in addition to thinking about what our current workforce has prioritized, what might we want to think about going forward for our next iteration of who we might recruit and retain. What does that look like? How can we maintain that competitive edge? And what does the future hold with regard to benefits? So that's how we got ready in preparing our recommendation. To set stage, our current 5-year benefit roadmap is on the screen now. It started in 2022. You'll see a lot of check marks. Those are things that have been accomplished. You'll see we've highlighted in red. We're looking at 2026. We are due for an adjustment to our employee contribution levels. We last did that back in 23. The way that that was handled was an across-the-board $10 increase for all employees in their per pay period contribution. What we are proposing for your consideration is something that's a little more strategic, laser focused, and creates, I think, a template on a go forward basis that will position the county in a more financially sustainable way. So our proposal will create some structural solution for that fringe fund, making sure that we keep that increase leveled out so that we can anticipate our increases and manage those over time. It addresses our current employees' priorities as expressed through their benefits survey feedback, and it incorporates some equity solutions. And some people might say, well, what does that mean? Sounds elusive. An example of something already implemented that is an equity solution, that external consulting group, when they did an analysis of our plans and our programs, just an example, they said, you only offer adequate hearing aid coverage in one plan at this point. We would suggest that you expand that coverage to all of the plans, because if you ask your folks what they need, you're never gonna get the highest response rate on, we want hearing aid improved coverage. But that's the right thing to do. And it aligns our values and our priorities with the reality of how we want to frame up our benefit solutions. So Caitlin and group already back in 2025 improved our hearing aid coverage across all plans. So it's applications and solutions like that that we mean when we say equity solutions. So again, before we launch into details, I just want to underscore that this is about preserving excellence, maintaining how we can position ourselves to market as an employer of choice when we talk about what it means to work in Oakland County, but how we can make some changes when it comes to cost sharing and other structural solutions that can position us for financial sustainability. The colorful chart is presented in the next slide in a way that you're more accustomed to seeing, but I wanted to highlight for you action now that we're requesting is for items 1 through 5, and item number 6 2026, which would be in 2027. But the remainder of these items, we would be coming back to talk more about what we would like to do and to get your approval and policy action for other things in later years. But flipping to the next chart, you'll see this laid out in the roadmap that you're accustomed to seeing the framework around, laying out each year, the policy solution or action item, anticipated cost impacts that you will see. Some are green, which means our savings, some are red, which means we're looking to make an investment there. I'll illustrate with item number 5. In 2026, we'd like to invest more and differently in family forming, in vitro fertilization, other paths to parenthood, respite care, autism support. There are some things that we can do differently and better, so we're looking for some investments there. Some of our other initiatives will produce savings that kind of create those opportunities in that space to invest dollars differently. So over the 5-year roadmap, we would anticipate landing in the positive at just over $12 million. This is really based a lot around modeling because it's dependent on people making different choices about their benefits and different spend levels around benefits. But if no one changed anything in terms of how they selected their benefit plans, it would still yield a positive because of restructuring the contribution changes. So let's dig into that a little bit more. What we do today is we have a 3-tier composition contribution table where we offer coverage to employee only, employee plus one, which may be an adult or a child, and then a family, which is employee plus spouse and one or more children. So these amounts are too low. Position to market, they're a very small fraction of the market. We don't want to exceed the market. We want to maintain our competitive advantage, but we do need to take a look at where we are compared to market. And then a strange kind of nuance here is they actually don't reflect real plan values. I'll draw your attention to PPO2. That is actually a PPO plan that has a deductible and a co-insurance, but it is more expensive than the $0 out-of-pocket PPO1. And that's just a strange hanger-on from way back when this was the only Blue Cross Blue Shield option. So now that we're on an all Blues platform, it's time to kind of get this right. So you'll see in our proposed contribution schedule, we're actually decreasing PPO2 contribution levels for employees. And then the other reality of this current schedule is it does not accurately reflect the very real difference between insuring an adult versus a child. So I'll flip this way. And when I talk about the real difference between insuring an adult versus a child, you've got a bar chart here that really illustrates that. It shows the cost for an employee over our plans, their spouse, and then the kids. And the kids are about half, and they're pretty steadily around $4,500 through the years or through the plans. So this is what I mean when I say our current 3-tier structure doesn't show the very reality of having 2 adults versus an employee and a child. Those actual costs are quite different and not currently being reflected. So that is the backdrop for where we land on what we'd suggest as a go-forward contribution schedule. We do recommend moving to a 5-tier family composition structure that would delineate employees and then employees with their children and then employees who bring a spouse into our plan. It maintains, this is one I want to say slow and loud, it still maintains employee contribution levels at less than half the market. And when I say the market, I mean public sector, private sector, Southeast Michigan, statewide. This still positions Oakland County to be able to say loud and proud, we are offering our employees exceptional benefits at extremely affordable rates that beat the market, and we are fantastic when it comes to our benefits. We don't want to get in a situation where we're here before you asking for PA 152, 20% level. We're not looking at that. This new structure keeps us at or below around 10% on an employee contribution to the actual cost to their illustrative rates. So it really maintains that excellence, that affordability, and that accessibility for folks. And it also aligns with the commitment that we've got through our UAW contract, which provides that we can increase contributions for employees who are including themselves or children no more than $10. So in items in the rows 1, 2, 3, no increases more than $10. when you're looking at items 4 and 5 where you're including a spouse, also within the UAW contract, we can go up to an increase up to $35. And so no increase exceeds that.
Oh, I get that question.
Yep, and so in fact, some are coming down. So like, again, the PPO two, an employee plus spouse, now it's $80, taking it up to $95. We're not taking up the whole $35 that we could go. We're right sizing that. I think what's really important here and what we're excited about and proud about is this frees up the space to create a $0 option within our high deductible plan for employee categories where they're bringing a child into the plan. And then for those who are including their spouse, it maintains that $45, $55 level, which is currently our lowest price point. So we think this new structure better aligns how we're handling family composition to reflect actual costs. It honors our commitments to limit our increases to the 10 and 35. And it really creates that $0 option, which could be a phenomenal added value to a lot of folks. And I'll highlight that with our high deductible plan, that can bring some unease if people are not familiar with how those plans operate. And so I would underscore that once you have met your deductible within that plan, the PPO that pairs with it is the PPO 1. So it is our best PPO plan once you meet that deductible. So that can be a challenge, and so we've got a couple transition solutions baked into our proposal. The first being around how we're going to address what could be a significant cost for folks, $35 a pay period if they're going to include a spouse. So we want to pair that with a more reasonable opt-out waiver. Right now, our incentives to have a spouse be on their own employer's insurance, it's dollars and cents, and it's not a viable choice for a lot of families. We did hear through our dependent eligibility audit that over 1,000 of our employees who have their spouse on the plan have access to their own employer's insurance. And they're choosing Oakland counties, and that's okay because it's great insurance, it's very affordable. But also it might be because to be on their own employer's plan, it's probably a lot more costly. So us saying, hey, here's $7, that's not gonna help them make that choice. But us offering a more realistic opt-out waiver could make sense for some folks. So again, we just wanna make our waivers be more reflective of market reality and produce some viable options and real choices for our Oakland County families. So we would propose with that new employee contribution table, pairing that with this new waiver structure. We do include, in some cases, we have married Oakland County spouses. We don't want to penalize that, so we're looking at giving a credit to those households to offset some of that. And then the other important piece of kind of this reset and how we're handling contributions is to think about how we're funding or supporting health savings accounts, which is the vehicle for paying for or covering some part of the deductible with the high deductible plan. I'll encourage you to think separately about flexible savings accounts. Those are FSAs. Those are different. They expire at the end of the year. They're use or lose. Some folks use them to reimburse yourself for other medical expenses. An HSA is an entirely different vehicle. There is no use or lose. This is a product where if you have over $1,000, you can invest it, direct investments, you can earn on it. It's immediately 100% vested, it is yours. This is employees' money, they can take it with them, whether they depart from retirement or separation. This is an interesting companion piece. Again, with studying our benefits, there aren't too many places we aren't the best, but one place we're not the best is retiree healthcare. So this is potentially a nice companion piece where employees could use this health savings account as another mechanism for augmenting their potential costs in healthcare and retirement. So we would suggest in this transition year for 2026 that the county go ahead and fund the entire deductible through the HSA for employees who choose that as their plan. Because that would remove a potential barrier if people feel like, I don't want to be caught in January with a big healthcare expense and I don't have the money on hand to cover that. Caitlin and team have implemented front loading, and for 2026 we'll front load 100% of the HSA Oakland County portion of that contribution rather than make people wait throughout the year so that we can remove that barrier to access by having the money available immediately for them. So hopefully that'll remove some of the fear and allow people to try this on for size in a way that's not going to be financially a hardship. It'll fit for some, maybe not for others, but at least it'll create that option for a lot of Oakland County families. Yeah.
Yes, there's a quick question.
Commissioner
Previous slide. So the deductibles, is that paying for, that's not necessarily paying for your annual physical, it's the additional stuff, right? So it could be co-pays for other medical services.
Thank you so much for pointing that out. With the high deductible plan, it's also important to realize that before you even have to go into pocket for any deductible, all of your preventive care is taken care of 100%. So you can go for your annual physical, you can get your mammogram, you can take care of your colonoscopy. You're not coming out of pocket for any of the deductible until it's beyond, yes, exactly, vaccines. Any of the preventive care is covered before the deductible. So a lot of families, depending on your health care needs, are going to find at the end of the year, a nice chunk of that HSA contribution might be remaining to them. And so that carries forward. And then in the next year, when Oakland County makes additional contribution to your HSA, you're hopefully building up that nest egg to always be in the position to cover your deductible, but then hopefully better than that. And that's why I mentioned that, a nice companion piece for your retiree health savings.
And it travels with you.
It travels with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's let them finish, and then I've got a list of a bunch of commissioners.
So on to dental.
It's hard to control the chairman, that's all I can say.
I mentioned there weren't many areas we weren't the best. I'll highlight another, dental, we can do better. Our maximums were too low. We're looking to increase those from $1,000 to $1,500 a year per person. We're also looking to create a third tier that we're calling a premier plan, much like we did for optical that we added in '25. We're looking to add a premier plan that would include adult orthodontic coverage. We heard loud and clear from our employee benefits survey that was of high interest to our current workforce. And that is a buy-up situation, so any additional cost by getting into that plan is borne by the buy-up. So it's a really reasonable, affordable way for families to access that level of care, and we're excited to introduce that. Another kind of significant change is right now we house the kids orthodontics and standard plan, our $0 plan, but not everyone has children and not everyone's kids need braces. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to have our $0 standard plan include that coverage. So we're housing that within that middle high plan. So we would see that as a situation where people opt into that when their kids need the braces and then come out of that into the standard plan. One thing I'll underscore as well, any of the additional costs that you see by adding the spouse or by the $25 a year family deductible increase is covered by the additional $500 in coverage. So right out of the gate, your additional per pay period expense, you get immediately back in that additional coverage. And that stands with the high plan as well. By the time you run the numbers, it's within dollars that the cost of going into the high plan is immediately covered, and you get that back with your higher orthodontic limit, going from $1,000 to $1,500. So I'm gonna call this cost neutral to employees, and I stand by that. The goal here was to be cost neutral, but to create that more modern plan that has real choice levels that make better sense. You do not see here the modified plan. Right now we have maybe a couple dozen people on what we call a modified plan, and that's where if you buy less than our standard plan, you get a couple bucks back, and it's literally a couple bucks. So it's no longer administratively doesn't make good sense to continue on with that plan. It's not being chosen, and it's no longer viable to continue on with that. So we see this as the future of dental. Lastly, I started with trying to lay the groundwork for how prescriptions are really putting the pressure on our spends. And so I'll highlight that in 2027, we're looking to implement a 5-tier prescription program rather than our current 3-tier. We don't envision and we don't intend to increase that copay on the first 3 tiers. We introduced 2 new tiers to get at the added cost pressures that are coming from the specialty drugs. A lot of folks are moving to the 5-tier plan, and a lot of employers are opting for a percentage basis, but we don't feel we need to be that harsh, 20% of thousands of dollars is really inaccessible for a lot of folks. So rather than a percentage basis, we'd like to see the county cap it at a dollar amount and then pair it with some of the great resources that we currently have in place around GoodRx, around white glove concierge assistance. If people have a high prescription spend, they can work directly with people through Caitlin's group and Blue Cross Blue Shield to make sure that they are getting at the best cost and rebate programs available to them. So really creating that kind of solution on a go-forward basis we think is the right position. So I tried to be quick to get to questions.
All right, I have 3 commissioners lined up, starting with Commissioner Long.
So thank you for your presentation. One of my questions was answered. I was adding 2 and I thought it was going up $60 per pay and it is not. I just realized you summarized on employee contribution amounts on the bottom. I was adding with the PPO and I'm like, oh, that's a lot per pay. So I thank you. And then I just wanted to make sure you did the employee survey. They know this is coming. Employees will know this is coming.
So the existing UAW contract provides for up to a $10 increase for employees with 1 or more children, and up to $35 for employees who have a spouse on the plan, paired with that increase in the waiver. So that's already in place for UAW.
Okay.
This is a request to apply to non-union employees, and we are currently negotiating several other contracts and having these conversations around this.
Okay, so as long as the employees know that we don't vote on this before all the employees know, I would appreciate that. I just want everyone to be open. I mean, just like we do with our CVTs, they don't know anything and then we get in trouble. So I wanna treat our employees, well, sometimes they don't. One time.
And we do.
And but I want to make sure we're out in front of it before it comes to a vote, so we don't get a lot of calls and stuff. Just, just to respect the employees, make sure they know and they can plan that it's gonna be, it didn't look unreasonable, the increases, but I want them to make sure the employees know.
Well, we can't and we won't make any adjustments unless it's in a labor contract.
Okay.
And then Caitlin and team have a total rewards task force already scheduled for June.
Okay.
But we wanted to wait and see the board's direction before rolling it out in that capacity. But we've been in other conversations, for example, with some of our ERGs, and we've been trying to, just do some take temperature contacts around this. But then this would be for non-union and then unions that adopt by contract or letter of agreement.
Okay, and I realize when you try to, some employees aren't gonna really understand, and then all of a sudden they're gonna get their check and see the deduction and go, but as much communication that we can put out before they see that on their check or realize is appreciated.
And we will be continuing our education efforts for our employees through benefit bites and like lunch and learns webinars.
Okay, thank you. It's fine. The other one got answered.
Okay, next we have Commissioner Cavell.
Oh, yeah, first I wanna give a shout out to Heather and Caitlin for, just so you know, taking an hour and 20 minutes, Friday from 4 to 5:20 to talk me through this whole thing and their whole PowerPoint.
You did it on
down
it, so you did it
So
before
like
the meeting.
I know I asked a lot of questions, but there was way more and they did a great job.
So you
shout
missed
out
the
to you
2
guys.
sessions they gave us?
Yeah, yeah, but they made a separate one, which I'm giving them a shout out, cause respect. Quick, just clarifier, the high deductible plan, when we were talking, it comes out to a county employee will have a $1,700 deductible or something like that, but then you're front loading the HSA, which means if you have a medical emergency, your HSA can cover your deductible, which means you're paying 0, and you then with an emergency will also pay 0.
Yes, in that first year.
Yeah.
So, and that is the goal, is to again create a space for employees to try out the high deductible plan with no risk or harm, because their entire deductible would be front loaded in January within their HSA. And so they can try that out, all their preventive will be covered before they have to go into that HSA for their deductible. The other cool thing I'll highlight that sets the HSA apart from the FSA is it really is, you get a Visa card and you use it like a Visa card and it works it's that easy. You're not submitting receipts, you're not asking for reimbursement. It is a I pay because it's in my account situation. And then yes, should they have an event and go through all of their either 1,700 or 3,400, you are going to have any out-of-pocket. And I have lived this experience where I had an immediate high cost in January. Ever since then, everything's covered. I'm paying my prescription copays, but physical therapy, $0. So everything is covered just like you're on the PPO one. It's exceptional coverage. We hope people will try it, see how it works, and maybe it'll work for their family. If not, that's okay, but we just wanna remove those barriers or fears to people trying it out and see how it could work for them.
You said year one, so if I'm on the high deductible plan for 2, 3, 4 years.
Yep.
Still same sort of thing with the HSA reload in January.
So yes, but as you'll see on the slide, that first year is a full funding recommendation and then reverting back to the 1,000, 2,000. So if you had money left, I'll talk family numbers. Let's say you have 3,400 in your HSA and you maybe spend 1,000 of that or more, let's go half, like maybe you've got 2,500 left, it's gonna roll forward. So now you're gonna have 2,500 plus the county's gonna put in another 2,000, now you're back to 4,500. Your deductible's covered. If not, if you draw it down to zero and you get $2,000, you've got some exposure there, right? Cause 2,000, you're 1,400 less than the deductible. So that's where you'll need to try this on, see how it fits, see how your use is. I personally, through payroll deduction, contribute the difference so that I know I'm always gonna have full funding for my deductible. So it was $50 a pay period. But still the $50 per pay period that I'm contributing to my HSA is less than I would have spent on the premium of the PPO one. So it's like the risk there is worth the reward, because if I don't expend all of my dollars, it's mine to keep forever.
And that part will be clear as part of your communications as a way to, basically you can make a 50, okay, cool, thanks.
And I actually just changed it today, I increased it. You can change it each pay period, it's totally flexible. It's chef's kiss, it's a beautiful thing.
Okay. I don't see anybody else who's got any more questions, so with that, let's prompt the vote.
Here's the.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
I just wanna say, for a presentation that had so much detail in it, you really did a good job of moving through it and keeping it easy to follow, so I appreciate that. It's a lot of information in a short period of time. Okay, so moving on to item 11, Economic Development and Infrastructure Committee recommendations. Item 11A is the development agreement with Endeavor Pontiac Partners LLC.
Oh, no.
For the construction of parking decks and site improvements. Commissioner Smith Charles, you have a question.
Well, I'm supporting it. I mean, I'm making the motion and just want to apologize in advance for so many things from EDI today.
All right, moved by Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Powell.
Thank you,
Did you
Madam
bring
Chair.
lunch?
I did not,
The chair's responsible.
but thank you
Never did.
for the opportunity to get in front of you. I know a lot of members were on there, I'm gonna try to be respectful of the new members here in this, but I am gonna try to move this along as quick as possible, because I understand we're backing up to some other committees that will be taking place at 2 o'clock. So let me first start off, Megan Sellers, Deputy County Executive Partner on this project. We're both project managers on this. Brian Leffler, CFO, and also our Chief Negotiator on the development agreement. So I just want to make sure that I was doing the proper presentations here. I'll get into the deck here in a second, the presentation, 8 slides. But I just want to kind of, as a reminder of kind of the history of this perspective, we put this request for proposal out on the street for solicitation last year. It was in July that this request went out. Bids were due back, came back. We received 7 responses. 2 of the responses were from Demolition, Adamo Demolition, who we actually ended up awarding to. And then I believe Detroit Dismantling was the other demo. There was another vendor that was interested in purchasing one of the vacated properties, a Marathon. And so that's not part of this proposal. That left us with 4 proposals to review. Of the 4 proposals, one of them was non-responsible and non-responsive. They did not make the cut we ended up going into presentations and interviews with three developers. One of the developers was the Boji Group, the other developer was Endeavor, and the third one was Seawick. So we had presentations, and from that presentation, the evaluation committee was not just Oakland County, we also involved city leaders as part of that, and community members were part of that evaluation committee. So it was a committee that had 11 different members around the table, including our Fartman Group, which is our owner's rep as well. The Boji Group edged out Endeavor in regards to the points, and we engaged in negotiations with the Boji Group. They had 90 days to reach an agreement. We were nowhere close to an agreement, and so in the middle of February, we went to the Endeavor Group. We did communicate with the Endeavor Group when we made the decision to go with Boji of where they sat in the process. So we started negotiations with the Endeavor Group. Mid-February, we had reached a material agreement, significant number of factors and items were agreed to. By May 16th, we needed some additional days, and so we wrapped up and reached an agreement Friday, May 23rd. You have the agreement as part of your attachment there. So what I want to do real quick here is kind of go through this PowerPoint just really quick. We can go that way. So Randy Roth, is Randy here?
Yeah.
You had to go. Endeavor Development, Peter from PMCO, our project manager, Peter also. Avinash, LGC Global, Troy-based business. Our architect and engineers, Framework E, Pierre and Jerry that are here. Appreciate them being there, and we know we have Dennis McCowan here as well. So those are our partners. Let me go to the next slide. If you can tab down. So there we go. So this is the aerial shot. It does not look like that today. There's been significant demolition taking place. If you went over there today and had an aerial view, you wouldn't even see the band shell. It is down and being removed by Adamo as we speak. So we'll go forward to the next slide. So what we're talking about here in the agreement, the essence and the big pieces are the south deck, the parking garage here that you can see that is parallel to 5111, and then the north deck here. We've kind of have this dotted line here because approximately that's about the 2 acres. That's part of the MOA that we have with the city of Pontiac about having property go back to a minimum of 2 acres back to the city. This is a vacated site north of this line. And then we also have county property over here. The Phoenix Center Garage stretches over to that portion as well. So that's kind of the lay of the land there. Next slide. The south deck, you can see, again, this is the deck that's parallel to 51111. We've got the descriptors there, 7 levels, 610 spaces, and it looks like we've got egress and ingress both here at the north portion and the south portion from Judson as well as from Auburn. You can see that we're shifting the entrance in this rendering. The dotted lines here represent the river that flows underneath as well. We continue to highlight that. We've been very purposeful of trying not to build on that in case in the future the city of Pontiac is interested in daylighting that river. Next slide. So this is the north deck. You can see we have 5 levels, 429 spaces there. So the south deck will provide parking for county employees and also 5111 employees as well as residents who are using that facility. But the 429 spaces will also be for county employees and those employees that work in 5111 as well. We wanted to have one of the parking decks that was closer to the downtown area, working with the city and listening to the feedback from the residents of trying to provide and answer some of their parking concerns that they had. Next slide. This is an aerial perspective, and so you can see in this rendering, this is one of the parcels that the county owns. We're looking to develop that with townhomes. We've got the triangle development here but we own that property as well. And then there's a couple of other items that we're looking at. You can see the blue items is the parking decks, and the other is opportunities for development, a housing unit, as well as potentially a hotel mixed use. Next slide. This is, again, another rendering with kind of the green space in place. Aerial view again, and then the next slide. This next slide was really the purpose of showing the connectivity. Part of this project is reconnecting the city. This part of the downtown has been this loop and has created this island, as well as the Phoenix Garage, basically cutting off the main street, which is Saginaw. So this project with the demo and everything that we're doing opens up their main street, the Saginaw, and also Orchard Lake Road, Auburn Road that runs through it. You can also see that the walkway, the promenade here aligns with Perry Street, and then we also have some alignments with the alley as well. I think that's it for the slides, but I just want to give a moment for Brian if there's any other additional comments that you had in regards to the slide deck.
No, not the same.
Okay. This is a rendering of the townhomes that we talked in one of the parcels.
Okay.
So the other thing I just wanted to turn the attention to, and that I will just comment on real quick, is you have the resolution in front of you. The key components of the resolution is the $66.1 million for this phase in regards to the parking garages. Also, in the spirit of prompt pay, we've incorporated in this resolution the same language that we had in the previous, which was to ensure that our small businesses who are working on this project are paid within five business days from receiving their payment. Also, we have on here is we want to make sure the dollars, as many of the dollars as possible, are going to Oakland County firms, Pontiac, small businesses, subcontractors. And so you can see the provision that's written in there in regards to supporting and lifting up those companies that are in hub zones, are certified veteran or disabled veteran-owned companies or small businesses. So that is incorporated in here. And also in the spirit of transparency, we've also included, just like we did in the previous resolution, a monthly report in regards to all of the financial activity that has taken place in the payments on this project. So, Ryan, do you want to address anything from the bonding perspective, the 66.1?
Sure. Again, this template of a resolution is very similar to the Judson format that we had used. The section that says regarding the bonding is really sought to be a reimbursement of any dollars that may have been spent from the general fund, so that we need this in the resolution. As it relates to bonding, mentioned before in ED&I, we would have to come back to the board for the issuance of any bonds. Furthermore, these are the limited tax bonds, similar to what Water Resource Commission is coming to next after us, is that these are the full faith and credit of your general fund. This is not a separate millage. It is all within your existing millage. And the third thing is that we are going to dovetail this debt service, the debt service associated with the Judson project, to start occurring in 2028 after the healthcare bonds have been repaid in April of 2027.
Okay.
Try to make that as quick as possible.
That was good. Okay, I have three speakers. First one is Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. You just made my day today, cause them three, and you was looking right at me. I had them written down right here, the hub zone, the prompt pay, and that monthly report. So thank you very much. I so appreciate you and your team, so thank you, thank you. And actually too, I wanted to say, thank you for the opportunity to serve in this process when we were going through everything with this part of the project. It has been a great experience, and I'm just happy also overall where we landed with Endeavor, so thank you.
Opportunity and demand.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, next is Commissioner Long.
Oh, mine's quick and it might be not germane, but it might be. Just real quick, the parking for the employees, have you thought further down the line, is that gonna be charged parking or free parking?
We have not got to that point.
Okay, cause I remember working at U of M, I hated paying for parking, so that's just a little, for the future, that was one of mine, like, I would park far, walk at night, far away, so just something to keep in mind. I always thought it was kind of an insult that we had to pay for parking when you were employed there.
It's not our intention, but I think what we also have to recognize too, in 51-111, we do have leases with the state. We're gonna have to address that parking situation. Then the north ramp, which is not gonna be completely filled by employees, the question is, we're gonna have to come up with some, which is again, going back to your board policy.
Right.
That you're gonna have to approve what the rates are,
Okay.
okay?
Just keep that in mind. That was just me being an employee. I didn't like it. They did have farther lots that you could walk. It was dangerous, but I did the cheap route. I always walked. I'm like running to my car at midnight. But that's just, I just wanted to bring that out. I'll put that-
Yeah, there has
put that out
been
there.
discussions
Okay.
about charging
Okay.
employees in that.
But I get his point too, if other people are gonna use the parking structure, so, all right, thank you.
Like, I'll just jump in. I go to Detroit a lot, to the SEMCOG building. And, there's a big parking structure there where it's $20 if you wanna park there. But if you go upstairs, they validate your parking right on the computer, the little tablet, and you don't get charged. So there's arrangements for companies to pay the administrator of the parking structure.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm concerned about is building safety, access. So the question is, your card here, it's your key to get in and out. So I guess how is this card versus having a transponder inside your car? This is gonna be really helpful to make sure that this is used, cause it's on your person, versus you giving your transponder to somebody else to go into the building. So there's other things that we're having to think about.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, is that it?
Oh, yes, that's it, yeah.
Okay, next up we have Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all. And I appreciate the presentation. Actually, there was a slightly different presentation in the packet for a while, which had a lot more data and numbers in it, so I do appreciate that. So I was able to break down it, so I do appreciate that. It's not here, but.
It never convinces you, but okay.
No, never.
Right, that part.
But he likes the presentation better.
I do like the presentation with the data, cause it helps me understand what you're trying to do. And, I think it'd be no surprise that I'm not gonna support this because I continue to believe that, this project, with the business case, what's the real value that it's going to add, so. But one thing I did notice, and it's more for probably future phases, because you mentioned that 2-acre parcel for the city of Pontiac, but I think in the later slides you showed a hotel there.
North.
So
But it looked like any for me, so it's just.
Sure, so that vacated site there, that whole green area is about 4+ acres. So in the MOU, with the city is about 2 acres, so the question is, okay, there's that area that would be for development purposes, essentially it's county-owned property. That would be a great location to, for something like that.
Okay, I was just, what I noticed.
That value there.
So that mixed use apartment building or homes was actually up on Water Street. So the 2 acres was south.
South of that, okay.
Yeah.
I'll look at it again.
Yep,
thank you.
Okay, is that it, Commissioner?
That's it.
Okay, next up I have Commissioner Cavell.
Thanks, Chair. Well, to that, so there's also, in addition to the Pontiac 2 buildings and the parking deck, there's 7 townhomes and also a hotel?
Not part of this project, part of the development. Yeah, it is rendered.
So one of the things in the RFP talked about providing parking. The other thing was a team that was gonna talk about economic development. And therefore, one of the things that, reason why the Endeavor Group is saying in the development agreement, you'll see is that we want you to promote what would you do on this site as an idea. So the phase two are just concepts, and this said, to us is like, okay, that small parcel on the far right hand side, that's where you could put 7 townhomes. Up at the top, this is what you could put here. Where the hotel area, because the county still has that parcel inside, surrounded by lot 9, what could you do there? And it's just the thoughts of this is what they could do on those parcels.
That's not part of the 66.1 million.
Is it part of future thoughts that you'll come
The
back
future
to?
thoughts.
Oh, yeah, if there's anything that, cause like for example, if somebody wanted to put a hotel on there, the board would have to consider a ground lease for selling the parcel.
Sorry.
Okay. We don't know how much that would cost to this.
That would be private investment.
Yeah, private investment.
Then they would lease the land from the county?
Well, that's
It's something that would be proposed to the boards.
whether they wanna sell it or whether it be leased.
So, where are we with, what's the balance in the Pontiac project fund today? Because you're asking for $5 million to come from our strategic reserve. And last week you asked for 25 million. And based on the document you showed us in caucus, there's 39 million still in the Pontiac project fund. So why the 5 million transfer from savings to the Pontiac project?
Yep, so it goes back to the concept here. So right now, there is no bonding authority provided by the board for either project. So what the 25 million and or this 5 million is going to address is kind of like the bridge financing from our county savings account, which would then be reimbursed once bonds are issued. So once the development agreement is then approved by the board and signed, inside your packet, there is also one of the exhibits here is a cash flow of what we asked the developer to provide to us. And inside that cash flow, which is essentially, I think it's exhibit 4.6, is this essentially is the cash flow to start paying for schematic designs. We gotta start on this project so that the parking ramps are up and ready to address the needs of our tenants that are in 51-111. So one of the things that we're actually gonna be working with procurement is going out for an RFP, an RFQ for firms to either underwrite bonds or provide loans to the board to do the financing. So once again, nothing's sole sourced in this process, but to make sure we have this smooth transition so that they're not waiting for our prompt pay for their services, that's what that's for.
So then, the 25 from the 23rd and the 5 from today or next week will be transferred from savings to the Pontiac project. But there's still 39-ish million based on the math in the Pontiac project. So you're wanting to bridge it. Will we be spending 40
So the
million
25
then?
remaining under the MEDC grant, okay, so that, as I mentioned at the last meeting, is that last 25 million can be reimbursed, so we have to spend money and then seek reimbursement from the MEDC. So once again, where's that money gonna come from? The strategic reserve. And then once we send the request to the MEDC quarterly, then we now have to wait for that money to come back. And then there's no time frame for prompt pay back to the county for reimbursement. I love that frame. But then so that's how that money could be used. Now, based on these projects, on the MEDC money, it either could be used for the Judson project or it could be used here. But the point though is either the 25 on the Judson or 5 on this, there's gotta be some account for us to essentially start paying for things that are gonna be going forward.
But isn't there already money in the Pontiac project, whether it's the 39 or you're saying the 25 be reversed, there's still 14 million still in the account, or that would be the difference?
Well, that was as of the report that you got last week in terms of the first 25 million and then the 10 from the ARPA, so there you've got 35 million. we paid the county's general fund almost 20 million for the purchase of the property. The Adamo projects is another 5, so there's 25 million already gone. Then the other thing though too on that sheet was talking about other services that have been received by the county and that we have paid for.
HED, Farben Group,
Right.
so forth.
Which the difference though is 39 million, and assuming the 25 isn't reimbursed quarterly at all, that then means 14 million. So then-
I'm missing the 39 million that's not, I'm trying to figure out
We don't
the.
have, the other 25 million yet.
I don't
I
have.
know, right, but you would have 14 million based on Sean's document from caucus last week. Which there was 63 that came in, 23 million expenses.
Okay, out of the 63 that's there, what she was showing was of that 63, 25 has yet to be received.
Right.
I mean, we're showing that, so then you take 63, so now you take that back. So of the 25 plus the 10 that we've received, so we have received $35 million for the project.
And spent 23, so that means there's 14 million left in the account.
12, I'm asked 12, but that's okay.
Chairwoman. Or 12, whatever, 35 minus 23.
So I think what you're missing, Commissioner Cavell, is they basically want to front load the account so that they can start paying people to do the initial work. And the money is there either from the MEDC or future bonding to eventually backfill all that.
I
So
understand, but there should be $12 million in the account based on the document we saw from Sean and caucus, which said we've spent 23, we've gotten 35, the difference there is 12. So why do we need 25 from last week plus another 5 from this week?
The answer is,
If we already have 12 in the account.
Commissioner Woodward, you
there is,
wanna
the
take a
answer,
crack at
there are
this?
2 separate issues. There's the development of the Judson building, and then there's this project. And there is money that's gonna need to be front-loaded until we get the bonding. For the very same reason we have to front-load for this, there's money that needs to be front-loaded for that project that's spelled out in all those agreements that we've already approved as this board's already approved. So that those monies are needed to be the upfront money before we have a bond, a full bond put in place and or reimbursement from MEDC to pay for those expenses.
Right, but that front-loading cost, that run rate is less than the $12 million in the account. So there still is a gap, there's a difference, there's still an amount of money. Right, paying Miller Canfield $20,000 a month doesn't equal $12 million. Paying HED, what is it, Farbman $34,000 a month plus Canfield $23,000 a month, that doesn't equal the 12 million that we should have in the account based on Brian just saying, we've gotten 35, Sean showed us the document, said we spent 23.
But what's the point you're trying to get at?
I
I'm
really-
trying to understand.
I get you,
Are you
I
trying
hear you.
to say we don't need the 5 million because there's 14 there? Is that what you're?
Yes, I don't get that, plus the 25 we just deposited last week, so we don't need 30 million more cash if we should have 12. What's going on with that 12?
So the 25 million that you deposited last week is so when you go to the workday, to provide you the monthly transparency that you're seeking. We have set up in Workday project accounts specifically for the Judson project. So any bills that we get, say from Farbman, HED, all that is gonna go or Granger, is gonna go right into against that account. So I have to keep that 25 million inside here. On this project, on the parking, right now, you put the 5 million in there, and the reason that's only 5 million, what I was looking at here, which is on that exhibit, was say the first 5-6 months of in the cash flow of what we may need before we do any bonding. So I'm not, even though, in the resolution it says that we have MEDC money for both projects, the intent is really not to use the MEDC. I mean, we want to have flexibility, gives us the option to work with the professionals that are working with us on getting these projects done on a timely basis.
It's just capital and cash flow.
Cash flow.
Yeah, the dollar amounts don't change. It's 66.1 plus the 174. I mean, they're the same. We're gonna be bonding. It's about cash flow, and we want to track the projects separately. Granger is one project, 31 Judson, and the Endeavor Group and LGC is a separate project. And so we want cash flow on both of them.
And you provided at the last presentation on the 51 Judson, that whole list, like you said, I mean, it was several pages of expenditures and all of that, so.
There weren't dollar amounts on that PowerPoint. There was, we spent a bunch of money that totals all this based on the 20 things we did.
But we provided a report in
Right.
caucus that had dollar amounts
Yeah,
for.
4 or 5 line items for $23 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Which wasn't in an open meeting, by the way, which just a
It was,
list of.
it was in an
about-
You
open
didn't see
meeting.
it.
The code.
No,
They do see, they watch everything we do.
You didn't see the document because they handed it to us at
He's
5
got a
o'clock
co-
to vote it.
he's got a copy.
Commissioner Cavell, you're out of order,
All right.
just for emphasis.
I have one more question if you don't mind. In order.
Madam Chair, I feel like we're being held hostage for
Yeah,
someone who's
no.
gonna vote no anyway.
I
Like,
think,
let's just keep
I
going.
think Commissioner Cavell, if you really need to understand the cash flow, you and maybe me and maybe Cheryl and Commissioner Woodward need to have a separate meeting with
So you haven't seen the email from April 1st, April 16th, or March 1st asking for that meeting, which also include Mike Keys.
We have had plenty of meetings where we've discussed this. The idea that we have not had transparency and you haven't had your questions answered is really becoming a you problem. Because I think the rest of us are hearing what we need to hear. Now, if you are not hearing enough, and I understand that, take it out of this meeting. We've got 25 people sitting here. We've been doing this all day. I think we've heard what we need to hear about what their plan is going forward. You can vote no if you don't feel like you have enough information at this point.
I would just ask all of you to then already respond to the emails I've already sent you to do what you just asked for, Chair.
Call for the
You,
question.
again, are out of order, and I'm about to ask you to leave the meeting. Nobody needs to be insulted. We've been here all day, and there's a lot of really hardworking people trying to work together. And when you start impugning our integrity by saying we aren't paying attention or we haven't listened, I'm sorry, but I resent that, so.
So do I.
With that, Commissioner, I see Commissioner Powell out there. You still have a question?
Over and over.
No,
She's
I'm
gotta
okay.
go, we gotta vote.
And Commissioner Spiz,
Yeah.
Should
quickly.
be a good question. On the 5-day payment thing, how are we gonna make sure that happens? That's a short duration of time, and I know sometimes in the finance world, things don't always move that fast, at least in my world.
Yeah.
Sometimes 5 days
Well,
is really
that's
quick.
I mean, we'll ask for certification in the follow-up invoices that are provided. Did they meet the 5-day?
And we're able to move that fast. I'm more concerned about them getting paid.
Once we pay, we're gonna try to pay, 20, 21 days.
Right.
But once we pay the Prime Endeavor Group, it's their responsibility of any subcontractors to make sure that they're paid.
Yeah, we've already reviewed before we sent the check. So they present us the
So
bill in the
it's
5th
longer
day.
than 5 days for the whole process.
For the whole process.
21 for ours, and then they have 5 days after. Okay.
Yeah, right,
Good.
that's
Thank
the concept.
Still voting no?
I'm ready.
Okay,
Okay. So.
with that,
He's a yes.
let's,
That's
Oh, what
a way to lighten up the room.
What world you
That's
in on
good.
that?
He would say that he has all the information.
Yeah. He did say it.
let's prompt the vote.
He did. He did say. He did say he had the sheet.
You're done.
We have 4 yeas, 3 noes.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move it.
I'll support it.
Yes.
Thank you, Jesus.
Moved and supported, 11B. I moved in it and Commissioner Spiz.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Smith-Charles, supported by Commissioner Spiz on 11B, pledging Oakland County's full faith and credit for bonds issued by the Oakland Macomb Interceptor Drainage District. And that is the facilities people,
Thank you, gentlemen.
or the water resources.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your patience, gentlemen.
I know, they were here long. Yeah, they were here all day too.
Since EDI.
Yeah, that's a long time.
They're gonna put that purchase.
I know.
Sure somebody else is here. So I know Joe is online.
Really?
Okay, Joe,
Hey, Joe.
okay, are we ready?
We're ready.
Go ahead.
My name is Ben Lewis. I'm with the Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner's Office. I'm Assistant Chief Engineer, here today for the county's full faith and credit to issue bonds for them Oakland Macomb Interceptor. This is for a project that was financed through the SAW loan in 2015, an amount of $8.5 million. We were contacted by Michigan Department of Treasury asking if we would consider to refinance that loan to a SAW grant. And with that, they would offer for us to do it. Today, I have with me Joe Kalani from Clark Hill and Steve Burke from MFCI, our financial consultant. And I would let Steve give you a little more information that you can understand about why we're here and what the state is, why the state asked us to do this.
Sure. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And Ben's description there was accurate. The state of Michigan came to us and made a request that the OMID Drainage Board consider refinancing this. In exchange for refinancing this, the state's going to offer up to 20% principal forgiveness to ensure that the drainage district gets at least 5% net present value savings. To do this, the state is required to recycle the SAW funding on an annual basis, and since this loan is being repaid slowly, the state is not able to efficiently redeploy this amount of funds. I guess that's what led to Eagle and the MFA making this request. So GLWA is in a similar situation to OMID refinancing a 2015 SAW loan. 2015 is the only year that the MFA and Eagle did SAW loans. All other years have been grants. So this is a unique situation, and they're ensuring that the drainage district will receive at least $212,000 in savings, but under the current estimates, it would be north of $300,000. So happy to answer any questions.
I don't see anybody signed up
Good.
to speak, so going once, going twice, let's prompt the vote.
It's old.
Yes. No. I'm a yes if I'm still up there.
Can we do Evo?
No, she's still prompted.
Okay. No, oh, no one's got it yet, okay. I think we have a maximum time that we can use these laptops, these. No, I just unplugged, so saying maximum meeting time, please shut off. Tell them I'm coming.
Did you vote?
Gonna try to vote.
I didn't.
Trying to stay there, because I think we need a quorum, I don't.
You have 6 days, 0 nays.
Excellent, motion carries, thanks very much.
I'll wait a few minutes.
Oh, and you.
Thank you. Thanks for saving us money.
So
You know what I'm saying? I don't wanna
okay.
lose a quorum.
Excellent.
We're trying to get
Next
some
up, we
other
have
office
item 11C, authorizing the issuance of bonds to fund improvements to the City of Pontiac water distribution system. Moved by Commissioner Woodward, supported by Commissioner Powell.
Okay, all right, and Lewis again, Water Resource Commissioner's Office. With me, Eric McLaughlin from Dickinson Wright, attending virtually, and Steve Burke again from MFCI. We're requesting full faith and credit of the county to sell bonds for our Fairview water system, or water replacement in the city of Pontiac. Some neighborhood of 18,000 feet of water main we're gonna replace the service lines. We were here in April requesting approval for a notice of intent to sell the bonds, so now we're back again to actually sell the bonds, and we can proceed with the project. With that, if you have any questions, any of us would be glad to answer.
Let's see. I have Commissioner Cavell.
Thank you, Chair. Just two quick questions. So this grant from the state revolving fund, this is one of those situations where if Pontiac had this water catchment area, if Pontiac had like 55 less houses, we would get this as a grant instead of a loan type thing. Is this, I remember talking to Commissioner Nash and Steve Court, yeah, right? Is this one of those situations?
I'm not so sure this one
Okay.
applies. It's not ringing a bell with you either.
No, I remember the question on another one before, but this, we're going through the state SRF
Yeah.
for the loan, and they go through a sheet and do the points, and I'm not sure about the.
Yeah, what I think what you're referring to is one that includes the jurisdiction of other communities.
Yeah.
And so if it was just exclusively Pontiac or something like the threshold.
Lines or something.
Correct.
Yeah.
As far as median
Yeah.
income and things like that.
Yeah.
Not so sure.
Okay, this is strictly Pontiac,
But it's not, but it doesn't meet that criteria.
correct?
Okay, fair enough. And then the second question is, so with this bond, is there gonna be any like upfront cash transfer to make sure we're like covering the operating, the like cash flow of this, or it's just a straight bond and you don't need a cash flow cover by putting cash into this?
Well, we've expended cash, we will get part of that cash back from the bond that we've already to the system.
Okay.
And then there's also some
Yeah, I know.
loan forgiveness and grant involved with this project too, but it all has to be bonded through the MFA.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Spiz.
Yeah, simple question. What's the bond rate?
Yeah.
Can I have that number yet?
I like that.
Steve, go with that?
Yeah, this rate for Pontiac is 2%, and that's fixed through the MFA.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Okay. All right, I don't see anybody else with questions. If everybody's ready, let's prompt the vote.
It's a different name.
We spend more money on drains and pipes and stuff people never see.
A lot more to spend.
Motion carries. Commissioner Howell, you had a question?
Just real quick, I just wanted to make sure with the WRC team that, and I know this for later, but what was that community? Holly? The water stuff?
Holly,
Yeah, I just wanna make sure we're having
It's a
discussions
private.
on that, right? To try to see where we maybe can help
Steve can
them.
tell you
The
about
dam.
that.
The dam?
The
Yeah.
dam?
Well, not today, though.
No, I know that, but no,
Yeah, they
it was
went
just
into
to be a comment. We can talk later, I just
Plus
wanted to
that's
make
private,
sure
it's different.
we spending
No,
and
it's owned by
WRC
Holly.
know commissioners wanna
Dam.
hear about this
They
dam.
actually
yes,
went
yeah,
to
well,
the
and
city
I don't know
council
what
meeting a
person
week
even
ago.
likes to
Great,
take
okay,
ownership
cool.
of it.
I just, okay, so that just warms my heart that y'all at least having communication about it. Okay, great.
All right, next up is item 11D, to amend the scope of services and extend the
Well, let's make
contract
sure.
of Auger Klein Aller
Right now, it's a good
Architects
point. I mean,
Incorporated, AKA.
The land around it.
We figured that out
You stole
before
it
we
from
do
somebody
anything.
else.
Motion, Commissioner Powell, supported by Commissioner
So I
Woodward.
wonder that, Dave.
Steve Borth, Chief Manager, Oakland County Water Resources Office, here with Brian Coburn, Manager with our office as well. We're here requesting an extension of architectural services for AKA Auger Klein Aller, with a very strict scope of services included in that. And Brian's gonna give us a very brief overview of where we are on the project and a little history on the architect so far.
Sure, I'll try to be super quick. So the planning for a new WRC facility began way back in 2018. And at that time, we went through a process and selected AKA to get to the point of preliminary site plan, basically preliminary design of the project before the pandemic stalled everything. So then after everybody, got back to normal after the pandemic, we started resurrecting the project in 2021. We continued with AKA where we left off previously to review the programming and the space needs that we have for the facility. We were just here a couple weeks ago and we got permission to use 38 acres of property, or at least study the use of 38 acres of property for the purpose of this building over on Vanguard Drive. And now we're ready to extend AKA's contract to do the schematic design that we were approved to do by the board several weeks ago. And then we would, the design phase would include the civil engineering, structural engineering, wetland mitigation, landscape architecture, stormwater management, lead coordination, and then we'd finish with completed cost estimates, so we know how much the project's gonna cost when we come back to you. And then we'd also have some value engineering that we would put in there too, along with the plans. So the limited scope would be done by December of 2025. We'd come back to you folks to have another discussion. We'll get the approval and the authorization hopefully to proceed to final design knowing what the project cost is and everything else. A budget amendment is included in the packet, and that's a transfer out of reserves from the drain equipment fund of $750,000 to use for the project. Those are funds that have been saved over time through user fees for this purpose of building a new building. So no general fund impact. And then also I wanted to just give a couple updates. We're working on requests for proposals for owner's rep and for construction manager, and working with Aaron Wagner and the procurement team to do that. So I just want to update you on that. So thank you.
Okay. Let's see if there's anybody with questions. Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, gentlemen. Simple question. Why 5 years?
Well, that was my question.
So.
Because you said it's be done by the end of the year, so I'm like, why 5 years? I mean, AKA is a great organization, do a lot of work with them. But just why the 5 years? Just kind of threw me off.
Right, just the scope of the project with a very rough schedule is a three-year project. But the architect's just gonna do preliminary design.
Right.
Then they're gonna engage in final design, then there's the bidding, and then there's actual carrying us
So
through
is it
construction.
your estimate is that after December, if this board approves you to move forward, it's gonna take you another 3 to 4 years to finish it, so you're just
we're
going
gonna
with the
come
full 5 years. Is there an opt-out clause in there if stuff, what if the board,
All of our contracts have.
but if the board doesn't approve it? I mean, what is the option? So you don't have to pay it
So
for
we're
5
only
years.
authorizing $750,000 at this point to get to schematic design, so we can come back to you again. And then we would authorize, at that point, we come back and ask for authorization for the next phase of design.
The next scope.
So the 754 only covers between now and the end of the year?
Correct.
Okay.
We have several sub-consultants that are included in that under the
Okay,
architect, so it's all the site work, it's all the stormwater. We're gonna have a really awesome stormwater plan, so we're hiring some great consultants to help us with that. We have a lead consultant, so all of that's included in that.
We're looking down the road to capture this project with the 5-year program, but incrementally coming to the board for approval every step of the way.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Seeing nobody else, let's prompt the vote. Switched.
You have 5 yeas and 1 nay.
Okay, motion carries.
Mike.
Next up, we have item 11E.
Someone's gonna.
11E, Oakland County Health Lab relocation project to the medical examiner's building.
Switching the board.
Moved by Commissioner Powell, supported by Commissioner Spiz.
It's something you ate, I'm sure.
Feels so lonely.
Yeah.
Right, everybody go.
Enough of this hours, I mean.
You did so well in EDI, they're just leaving it on your shoulders to push it through here.
Misty Rates, Manager of Capital Planning and Design with Facilities Management. I did in EDI have a few representatives from the Health Department. I think they may have abandoned me.
They did.
I totally understand. I don't have a presentation. I don't think anybody's sad about that. So Health Lab relocation, they're coming from the Community Health Crisis Resource Center, moving across the drive to Medical Examiner's facility. That space allows much more agility and room to grow that program, and so that's a positive here. This project has 2 different funding sources. The HRSA grant is paying for the lion's share of the project. And then the CIP, this is the planned CIP project for this fiscal year, will pay for $333,000 is the request. So with the renovation, we are complying to all fire, building codes, ADA, and safety in addition to security as well. So we're looking for recommendation to move this to the board. And just open it up for questions.
All right.
Follow the process. Follow the
I
process.
didn't put my name, but do you want me to hit my name?
Yeah, first up, we have Commissioner Spiz.
Oh,
Thank you,
okay.
Madam Chair. Thank you.
Before me.
And
If there's any
my
questions.
question is, I listened to part of EDI, and my
Yeah.
question is really why? I understand they're gonna do some approvals when they move, so was the decision, and you may not be able to answer this, I might have to talk to the health department, but, which is fine. Is that because the current location doesn't meet the needs that they expect they're gonna need in the near future, so they wanna move, that's why they went for the grant? Or what is some of the background of why they need to move?
I'll give my knowledge, but it might be the health department to answer and supplement my answer. So over there at Resource Crisis Center, the space that they occupy is probably divided up in about 6-7 different various rooms. And so when you think about a lab function and being so compartmentalized in small rooms and the flow and the door swings and the aisleways and all that, it really doesn't lend itself to that lab function. And that's where
So they wanna consolidate everything into one area and not unconsolidate it.
Correct, and
That
so
was a jab.
medical examiners has an open footprint is where they're moving.
Yeah, I understand.
Forget now, it's been so long.
Staff did a very good job, and the policy analysis actually lays out all the things they want to do.
I understand what they wanna do, I understand why.
The why is in the policy analysis.
I'm sure it's in there. I understand what they're hoping to gain out of it,
Let
but
me
is that
start,
a
the
why?
library currently is restricted to a very small space in the building, they need more space. Furthermore, there are two labs located on the second floor of the building and only one is currently being used at MEU, so we can expand. Secondly, or third, security has been reviewed as necessary to protect samples, supplies, information for the office that can't be done in the current place. And so both are licensed laboratories and access restrictions will be placed on the new place.
In the medical examiner, there'd be more security.
Well, I agree with that, I mean,
That's the why.
I mean, after the scope, I understand, but I mean, it's probably my engineer hat on, I ask why 5 times and then you get there. What the true reason is. Thank you, I won't. Everybody's getting all slappy, I think.
Yeah. I can delete me.
Commissioner Long.
I can delete me because I understand where it's moving to and from. I just wanted to make sure. And it's health department to medical examiner, which is right across the street.
Yes.
I'm good.
Okay.
That's
Let's
what I
prompt the
wanted to
vote.
make clear, what building to building is all I wanted to know.
You have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay.
Thank you, wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Ms.
One more.
One more. Item 11F, the Oakland County Roof Replacement Project at Building 49 West. Moved by Commissioner Woodward, supported by Commissioner Spiz.
All right, Mr. Ritz again, Manager Capital Planning and Design. So this in front of you is specifically for the upper roof area at Building 49 West, the recent storms. Several weeks ago, gust of winds, we had a roof failure. So facilities put a temporary patch up there. In order to get through the season, we would need a more robust patch in order to get through the season. So facilities expedited the specification design process, working with procurement as well. And so we're coming forward with a full replacement of that high upper roof area, $333,000. This is a planned CIP project. We'll be coming to you in the near future with the lower roof areas. That value also includes lightning protection at that high upper roof too.
Say lightning protection.
And you said this was gonna be part of this year's regular CIP anyway, it's just the storm expedited.
It
it.
did, and so we're just pulling a portion
That's what we're
forward
getting.
and they're gonna come with the other portions.
Storm's coming now.
Okay. Commissioner Long.
So I just, one quick question, are we staying in, IT's not moving over to Central Pontiac, right? This building, we're gonna stay in there, in the,
Correct.
okay. I mean, I get it, there's storm damage, you can't have buckets, but I'm just making sure that sort of $1 million, we're staying, we're staying there.
Correct, yep, this one
Okay.
would be a legacy facility.
All right, that's one of my questions I always ask, so thank you.
You bring it up on?
All right.
I'm good.
Anybody else with any questions?
I think we're gonna have storms now.
Commissioner Spiz?
Since we're putting lightning protection on, can we harness some of that energy and use it?
Yes, wouldn't that be great? Yeah.
That was my question.
That was your question.
Yeah.
All right.
Put it in a
Let's
chair.
prompt the vote, please.
Yeah, they did that in Detroit, remember Detroit City Council had electric chair. I saw that in the news, I was like, did they shock people? Yeah.
Gigawatts, what is it?
Motion carries. All right, we finished all our regular agenda items. Next, we have public comment.
Yeah.
Is there anybody who
Would you like me
wishes
to-
to address this?
They all laughed.
Seeing nobody, I will close public
I know.
comment and call
I'm pretty
the
sure it
meeting.
wasn't you.
Thank you.